What's up, everyone? If you don't already know me, my name is Denzel Mensah. I'm a certified life, personal development, and relationship coach, ENFJ 911 social sexual in the Myers-Briggs and Enneagram system. And today you are going to be watching a profiling session that I did with a client slash friend slash classmate that I had at Personality Hacker called Kat. Now, Kat's session was a very interesting one, and although I provide a lot of context for the other sessions that I've been posting, this one needs a lot of context, I'd say, because it has a little bit of a funny story to it. So right off the bat, Kat was somebody that I was seeing in the Personality Hacker classes that we were taking and stuff like that, like on video chat and everything. And then we went to the live event in Seattle earlier this year of 2024. That's when I actually met her. Granted, I mainly only said hi and stuff like that. I saw her in passing, but people who were in class with her, they were coming to me telling me like, yeah, there's this girl. Have you met Kat? Have you met Kat? Everybody's like asking, have you met Kat? And I'm like, kind of. I've said hi to her and everything, but not really. Like, oh, well, she can't really like fully tell what type she is. She thinks that she's ENFJ or INFJ, but different people were telling me different things. One person thought that she was using TE. Another person thought she was NTJ. Another person thought that she was an ENFP. Some people were just even thinking that she could have been a sensor. All of these arrayed things. And it was even to the point where one day I was sitting in the lobby area and I was, just talking with some people because somebody had asked me. Oh, yes. Ani. But this INFP friend of mine, Ani, had asked me like, so how would you like try to suss out somebody's type, even if they already know about type and this, that? And I'm like, well, there are certain like techniques on how I'm able to do that, because there's different ways in which I approach my profiling sessions, especially with people who are familiar with type. I love to just keep it more open-ended, and at the end of the day, if they are lying to me and giving me false information, they're playing themselves. Granted, that doesn't count if they are giving me honest information. It just doesn't happen to be true because they lack self-awareness and stuff like that. There is a distinction. But I was just saying that in general. And then as I'm surrounded by these people, Kat walks in and Ani's like, Kat, we're talking about you. And Kat's like, oh, and everyone just really was like, you have to get profiled by Denzel. You have to get profiled by Denzel. So I was like, I feel like you're being pressured to do this. I'm really sorry. Boom, boom. And Kat was like, well, no, just at this point, I just really want to know the truth. So finally, we did end up making time, and I had to split this session into two because they did have classes and stuff like that. But this was honestly one of my favorite sessions that I've ever done. Kat, from my experience with her, is an amazing human being. And I hope that that'll be able to be made clear throughout this video as well. She's very experienced with a lot of different things. I could see why she had a hard time pinning down her profile, or pinning down her personality type. But I do think that by the end, we came with the accurate personality type for her. And I talked to her recently, and she's still been going headstrong with it. And she said that it's actually helped her a lot. So I asked her like, hey, is this a session that you wouldn't mind me posting on my channel? And she was down. She said, yeah, anything for the cause and stuff like that. So meet Kat. This is some of the history behind it and everything. You'll see us shift environments. First in the lobby of the hotel room while everybody was out, knowing that I had a profiling session. And then we actually switched to my actual hotel bedroom. So we're actually like sitting on the bed together and everything like that as I do this part 2 of the session. It is a longer type of session because we had to go more in depth, and I really wanted to make sure that I had the accurate type. So I had to check everything and all of that. But I think that you guys will learn a lot from this session on how to like maybe type more of the people in your own life, and maybe questioning yourselves if you want to get profiled, which by the way, if you want to get profiled, remember denzelmensah.com, where you can book me and I'll be happy to profile you. Even if you already know your type or you think that you know your type, you never know. And even if you do know it, then we can go more in depth, and then we can move into coaching if you'd like. So denzelmensah.com. And yeah, I just wanted to give y'all some of that context with Kat. Without further ado, here's Kat, and make sure that you guys take pauses whenever necessary. Come back to it if you need to, stuff like that. Again, I know it's a longer session, but I do think that it was well worth it. I enjoyed every moment of it. So yeah, boom.
Okay, awesome. Kat. So first and foremost, I would love to just ask you, who are you? Anything that you feel comfortable sharing about yourself?
Anything about myself? I'm a wife and a mom of two, and I'm an educator, and not just any educator. I believe that there is a different niche when you talk about an educator who is a resource interventionist, because my life's work has been really about attending to special needs children. Yeah, I'm also a musician, and I want to also make sure I'm always tapped into that arena on a semi-regular basis. I like being involved in my church. In that's my ministry, and yeah, I don't know how detailed you want, but that
you left out your social security.
I'm not gonna go there.
No, this is great. Okay. Do you mind me asking your age?
I'm in my 40s.
Okay, got you. That's fine.
Yes, there you go.
I just for developmental purposes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. What would you say a resource interventionist? Is that the word?
Yes, interventionist.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, what exactly is that?
So I'm a special educator. So when I went to school, I wanted to work with students who have mild, moderate disabilities. If you have a learning disability, if you have ADHD, I can be an advocate for these students.
Got it.
In the classroom setting.
Got you. Okay. How do you usually do that?
How do I do it? I either pull them out if I know that so my work, when I pull them out, and I'm the one working with them right now, because where I'm working, I'm also an administrator, and I head all of the resource in the school. And I don't want to give up the role of being a teacher to students. Even though I'm an administrator, I told them I need to be able to do this too, because I don't want to lose this ability to do that, this skill set. Yeah. So I would pull them out, and if I would test them, I would get a baseline test and find out if what area of need they have to work on, and then I work with them. It's almost like it's like after school extra tutoring kind of thing, but it's not tutoring in that I help them with their homework. It's trying to figure out where the missing parts are so that we can bridge the learning gap.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
How did you get into that?
I don't know. Oh, I do know. When I was in college, I was studying psychology, and I was a double majoring in music. And then I was like, I don't even know what I really want to do with any of this. I'm going to go off, and I decided to do this term where you stop being in college for a year and you go off as a volunteer teacher someplace. So I signed up to live in Brazil and loved my year, and I had never taught in my life before. And I taught at a after-school program where I had to support students who speak Portuguese, and so I had to learn the language, right? And then I also taught high school up to adults English too. So I was an English teacher at overseas, and I realized that although I love psychology and I wanted to work in schools, I didn't want to go into school psychology because the regular day-to-day relational building that I would be doing in as a teacher was just better for me.
Got you. I wonder if it's what's up, man?
So that's important for me.
Got you.
Yeah.
Oh, appreciate it. That's really dope.
Well,
That's really
and
dope.
then that's how I came back to the States saying I'm changing my major,
Wow.
which I ended up not changing my major because I wanted to finish because I had so many classes in for psychology already that I finished my major. Then I got into a program that like kind of finished everything up for education right away.
Wow.
So I finished with a psych degree.
Okay. And then you said, but you also have the double music major?
Yes,
too?
and I dropped that so that I can finish because I knew immediately my goal is education.
Got you.
And I left the school that didn't have a special education program, and I went ahead and transferred to a place where they had that because I knew that's who I wanted to work with.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
that already says a lot. Okay, got it. And when you say musician, do you like rap? You like dancer?
I wish I could. So I'm a piano player and I also sing. And what's interesting is I was classically trained when I was a child all the way through college, and that was great and all. But then I discovered worship music and playing by ear and worship music. So I read music, but then to branch out of that and start creating things was where I wanted to be. And so I help worship lead at my church, and that feeds me.
Wow.
That feeds me.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel you with that. Shout out to you for actually being able to read music and play like by ear, because for me, I can read music, but it'll take me like 2 hours to get through like half the page. But I play by ear, and that was like I felt you like when it's oh wow, like in the church, like just playing during like worship, like that can really bring like there's just so much emotion, like tears that like it just come like from just like playing on the keys with that. So it's like I totally hear you with that. But yeah, no, I wish that I was able to do both.
Yeah,
like that. Like that's such a skill.
It's something that I learned to appreciate my parents about, because they're the ones, obviously, they're pushing me to do the lessons and do the go to my teacher and do the competitions and all of that. And so I've done all that and didn't like it, but they made me, and I appreciate it so much now.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. That's really awesome. Okay, cool. Well, I'm going to ask the question that everybody knows, but I'll ask anyway. What are some things that you love to do? And when I say that you love to do, I mean that you love to do so much. The only reason why you stop is because you're absolutely exhausted. Otherwise, you'd go on indefinitely because it gives you energy.
Yeah, and my immediate answer to that is the music. It's when I'm playing by myself, I can get lost and not realize that time has passed and how late it is, and that everyone's gone to bed, and that they've left me alone because they know this is what I need. But then when I'm in a setting at church and I'm there, I get lost in that. I almost love anticipating if there's a swell in the music, or if like there's a different worship leader and it's not me, what they're gonna do, and almost use either my voice or the keyboard to either bring up the volumes, because I know it's about to build, and I know what to add. And it's never the same every single time.
Yeah.
It's almost an expression of what I know is about to happen. And when the worship leader, you get a read that we're going to do that again because it was just where the congregation's at and they want to do it again.
Yeah, spiritual movement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then I know how to follow suit.
Got it.
So I also love harmony.
Mm-hmm.
Vocally, I love adding harmony because it's that piece that I find that all the different worship teams can't seem to find somebody that will just wing it.
Mm.
And for some reason, I have that skill set to be able to do that. And I know when not to be vocally there and just to worship on my own, or when to add to something, because it's, I don't even know if I can describe it, but it's just like, when it's time to add something.
Yeah. Yeah. I think literally because I've had such a similar experience, at least with that. And it's like, I know exactly what you mean. And it's just interesting to like hear somebody actually try to like describe that, because being a keyboardist in a church setting with, and oh yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean, because me, I don't sing. And so I am like trying to picture like what you're intending with, like knowing like when to sing, like how to sing in certain things, how you also said like it's not always the same. Whereas like for me, I always kept it like since I don't sing and all of that, then it's like I just try to put all of the energy into like the piano playing and everything like that, and let that speak for me. So for you to again do both and be able to like key in on the timing and like the harmony in ways that it seems like other people don't really seem to connect as easily.
Right.
I really, that's really admirable.
Right. Yeah. And I love it. And it's something that I think I learned very early on, maybe in high school, that I love this. I need this.
Got you.
And my family's got to know it too.
Yeah, for sure. What else would you say? Like, what's a close second?
Real conversations.
Real conversations.
And when I say real, like the individual across from me is being real. It's not scary for them. This intensity, when I talk about big things that matter to humanity, that's not scary. Like that, to me, I can sit for hours connecting with people.
What would you say are some big things that matter to humanity?
Oh, things that matter to humanity. We need to be kind. We need to be kind to each other. There is a difference between equity and equality in the school setting and in life. Like, it's interesting, they were talking about in the main room when Joel had made the comment about individual special needs, and how all the resources, like in talking about TE, and all the resources are honing in on the ones with special needs, and it's not fair, right? Like, and he was just talking about not that he believes that, but that it's almost like almost in jest, right? But it's right for us to take care of those who are straggling behind. For me, and it's not necessarily a value, it's the principle. We take care of each other, and we help everybody up the hill. That's
what I was picking up too.
And we're kind, and the way I raise my kids is, when you go into someone's home, someone has a birthday, you go. That's the first thing. That's their first go-to. Not the toys, not the games, not the bounce houses, nothing. You go to the birthday person, and you say, and then you also go and say thank you to the parents who invited you over to their home. So like those things like that. Like it's not even really a manners thing. It's almost like it's what you do because you want, like, so this is what's behind it. Like you want people to want to have you over.
Yeah.
if you like your friend who has a birthday, you want their parents to like you.
And you're just like kind of like aware that if you go to them and you express appreciation and stuff like that,
Yes.
then they are more likely to give you even more.
Yes.
And it's not that you are fake with your appreciation, but it's just that you're letting them know the authentic appreciation that you do have. Because some people can't pick up on that just from seeing you like run over to the bounce house and do all of that. Is that right?
Yes.
Got
Yes.
you. Got you. Okay. What else would you say, if anything?
I can get lost in a book.
Mm.
In fact, I get pretty annoyed with my family when they interrupt or when they say, we got to go now, we got to go now. And I'm in the last few pages of my chapter and I say, no, I want to finish the book. So it's frustrating. And I know my husband's learned I just say, can you just give me a moment? And he knows I'm trying to finish a thought or a scene in my mind,
Yeah.
I don't know. So I get lost with books, with the people, with constantly thinking, just my own thoughts, I think, thinking about, what the impact and effect of this behavior or this decision on what's on this situation. Like I'm constantly doing that. And it's interesting because I don't think I always talk about it. It's just, it's exhausting.
Got you. Okay. First off, what kind of books do you read?
Almost anything. Like the obsession is type right now. So I'm learning all about that. And right now I'm going through Dr. Dario's the book with the subtypes.
Yeah.
I forget the type.
Yeah.
Right now I'm reading that. But I do like to throw in books that are almost like a story, but involves history. But then sometimes I like reading things that are maybe futuristic. So it's kind of a mix of things.
Got it.
But I do like stories or books that have, even with movies, I like things where you are almost invested in the kind of individual or the persona, and you want to go like through the whole series or through the whole thing to find out how this person either grows. So it's a lot of when there's interesting characters.
Okay, got you. Would you say that you are more interested in the plot of a book, the social interplay of the book, or like just the individual character and like just I guess how they're progressing? And of course, I'm guessing that there's definitely a mixture of both. But like, if you were to see like your top one that's most intriguing to you.
Okay, so if I think Game of Thrones,
Okay.
I love understanding, and I read the books, and for me, like I want to read the books before I watch anything, right? I like understanding the people dynamics, the growth patterns that I'm seeing or the lack of, and why you see the demise of an individual, and like those things are really interesting. Things like that.
Got it.
The idea of dragons is just like, I don't know what it's like to be in a world with dragons. So what is it like? So those kind of things.
Got it.
So I even like things that are like back in the 1800s or 1600s. Like, what was it like then?
Okay.
So I'm always in, and it's funny because my friends would say, "Man, you are born in the wrong era." I'm like, "What does that mean?" He's just like, "It's either here or there. You just want to be someplace else." And I'm like, "Isn't it interesting? Isn't it for everybody?" But,
okay. And would you say that like I guess stories of like the current era, like is it like, oh yeah, they're cool, but or they kind of like bore you because it's like the truth, like how much truth is there to what your friend said? Like, man, I'd rather just be in here or like over here, because right now it's kind of meh.
So my husband calls it a whodunit. Like, he likes a whodunit. Like,
Mhm.
what's happening if it's a bad cop, good cop type of situation that
Mhm.
seems realistic,
Mhm.
I would enjoy it because it's something entertaining, right?
Mhm.
But I find that my mind gravitates, and my desire is to watch something that's different.
I see.
Yeah, like costumes
Mm-hmm.
from a different, like, it's not costumes, but like it's the way they dressed
Mhm,
before, the
mhm.
way they cooked their food, and the fact that they didn't have electricity back then, or in the future when everybody is riding on something, and like I even think about the Teslas right now and like electric
Yeah.
cars, and I'm like, wow, we're
Yeah.
moving into the future, and
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
kind of fun
yeah,
for me
yeah,
to realize and see the development.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Makes total sense. Got it. So my next question for you is, how would you describe yourself, even if other people disagreed? And just clarify the ones that other people might disagree with.
I'm kind. But that's generally, well, some people think that's being a pushover.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. So that's maybe the disagreement. I don't know. People think that they disagree with. Oh, that
And of course, things that people would also agree with. Like, so you just kind of like
Right.
describing adjectives
right.
of yourself.
Yes.
But yeah.
People think I'm too forgiving and too and this is my interventionist heart, where when I'm managing the dynamics of the teacher versus parent
Mhm.
over a child with special needs,
Mhm.
it can get really contentious.
Mhm.
And teachers been like, why are you citing over here? And I don't. And people think that I'm citing over here, and they don't know that what I'm doing is I understand both your point of view.
Mhm.
It's clear as day. I'm just here trying to manage it because none of you want to manage it. Because teacher, we want to keep the student, and we got to attend to his needs.
Mhm.
Parent, you need to partner with the teacher.
Right.
Let's do this. It's for
Yeah.
your kid.
Yeah.
And so I'm the one who's always doing that. And this is the part that I don't always share with people.
Mhm.
What's behind it is like I can see disaster waiting to happen if we don't attend to it.
Yeah.
Well, it ended up
Yeah.
that my teacher, and this is a true story, my teacher leaves in the middle of the school year. And I knew that was coming.
Oh wow. Sure. I guess I feel like we just need new towels or something.
Yeah.
Yo. Trey. Do you mind I think their housekeeping coming in? Do you mind just like making sure they get trash and towels, I guess, restocked, whatever? Okay. Yeah. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. You said that your teacher just left in the middle of the school year? Like no warning or anything?
And so no warning, but I knew it was going to happen. Because sometimes, you know how you know when somebody can't handle being held accountable?
Mm-hmm.
That was me having to hold somebody accountable in my role. And she was my third grade teacher, and she up and left. She let us know the day after Christmas.
Wow.
And we had
Yes, ma'am. You can just let her in.
we had no third grade teacher.
Mm. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
And you said that you saw that coming? Was that what you did?
Yes. Because I was seeing how much she was not willing to handle and take ownership on certain situations. And so because I understood, and this is only my second year in this job, right? I understood, can't even detail it out, but it's just like I know she's not, I don't know when,
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know when, but it's not going to be very long until she walks away.
Mm.
And I told the principal, we need to be ready because it doesn't look like it's going to be a good thing. This was like maybe 3 months before in the beginning of the year because everything blew up initially in the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, good.
Mhm.
And her reaction to it. So it's like an interplay of everything. Like there's so many factors.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I thought about it enough that like maybe it's okay for me, but before I can't detail out what those factors are, but it's just like she's gonna walk away from it.
Yeah.
And she did.
Okay. Wow. Very informative.
Yeah.
Okay. Would you, I guess I would say then that like, would you resonate with the term like as like being a good mediator? Yeah.
Yes.
Like basically that like description, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm picking up too.
So one thing, okay, so we have this communications director
Mhm.
who needs to do her job. She needs to communicate.
Right.
So when the music department and their personnel doesn't want to share with her information, she gets really aggravated. And
Yeah.
so she's talking to the principal about, oh, this needs to happen, and the music department doesn't want anyone to interfere with their business because they've been doing it for so many years.
Right.
It's easy for me to see both sides of things
Yeah.
and how to manage that. And
Mhm.
so I'm working in the same admin team as this communications director.
Mhm.
So I go over to the music department team and I sit them down and I've developed enough rapport with them and I tell them, I don't tell them what I could see happen if we don't do something. Like,
Mhm.
but I tell them I would really suggest that we find a middle ground.
Mhm.
If we don't find a middle ground,
Yeah.
then it's either, and I say, can't allow her to do her job.
Yeah.
And if she doesn't do her job, like it's in my mind, it's just so like natural. If she doesn't do her job, she doesn't feel value here.
Yeah.
If she doesn't feel value here, why is she here? Then she won't be here and we need her.
Yeah.
But I can only say so much
Mhm.
because like when I start saying things like I can see the train wreck coming. If you continue with this frame of mind, if you continue with this behavior, so I find ways to just, hey, let's just send an email and include her, CC her on it, like simple things that are concrete ways to manage. Yeah. Because I hear the toxicity seeping and it kills me inside because if we keep that in our space, then it doesn't go.
Yeah.
You don't want to be working in that setting.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And you want to keep the good people.
Yeah.
They're all good people.
In your job, how many people would you say probably have like, if you were to say a percentage, like probably have like a similar outlook to like what you have?
My principal.
One person. Out of like how many potentially?
I'm the K-5 vice principal, and so a team of 13 with aides and the PE teacher, and then our school goes all the way to 12th grade. It's like a separate campus kind of situation, and he's the principal of kindergarten all the way to 12th grade. And because before I'd be really guarded, but now that I can hear from him that his train of thought is very similar when it comes to almost like a humanitarian logic that I just share what I think, and it's just like, it's almost like he blesses my decision, like I run it by him all the time, and it's just like, that's so refreshing because I was in a job before and it was and when you're advocating for children,
I can imagine.
And that's another one where I felt like I'm like, I can see it coming. And the principal before from another school failed completely and ended up having to leave. So
Wow.
or being asked to leave. Or being fired. Let me just say that. She was fired.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. How else would you describe yourself? If anything else, of course.
I think I care too much.
Hmm.
And it's sometimes I find that I care more than the teacher, or I find that I'm caring more than the parent, and I have to reel myself in to not care as much because I can't be the one to get things moving. I only am a voice, and I don't necessarily always speak out, but when I do, it's sometimes frustrating because people don't see things that way, or they think I'm jumping into conclusions.
Got you. Yeah, I was gonna ask, how would you define too much? And I feel like you kind of just touched on that, but I want to make sure to like see like how you would like describe like what would you, if you say that you care too much, then what's the right amount of care that Kat could give in a way that's okay, now I care, but caring too much would be this, but caring just enough would be this.
Yeah. An example?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you have one.
So,
Or
yeah. So there's this third grader who because of the teacher leaving, I ended up being the third grade math teacher for the time, the rest of the school year. And I realized every time I was in math class, this little girl couldn't think. Like something was wrong, and her eyes were glassy all the time. She seemed really weak. I find out that she isn't eating, and I was like, in my mind, it's not oh, you're starving. I got to feed the hungry. It is, you're hungry. We need to feed you because you can't learn. You can't be here. It doesn't make sense for you to be here if you are hungry. You can't be in my math class if you're hungry. So I'm just talking, and I find out that somebody was just like, I will prepare breakfast every morning, because she was like the lunch lady already, and she's just like, I can just throw in a breakfast, and it's just for this little girl. And there's so many other hungry people, right, in my school, but right now I'm attending to my math student that I'm seeing every single day. So I know that they can't continue being at the school I'm in right now. But I don't want her to leave in the middle of the school year. That doesn't make sense. It's not good for her. So how can we sustain her being here and finishing up and meeting her standards, right? And all her benchmarks. So we're feeding her, and every morning she comes and hangs out with Ms. Cat. They call me Ms. Cat, and she has breakfast. We're doing math. Breakfast, math. Breakfast, math. And people can be like, oh, that's so nice of you. Right. Oh, great. But at the end of the day, I say, this isn't sustainable.
Yeah.
We won't have this person who's helping me prepare all this.
Right.
It's not sustainable for the parent to expect the school to feed one child.
Yeah.
And so that's where there's this like constant interplay of what makes sense to me and my bleeding heart. And it's just like, so I know she'll be with us over the summer, because we're tapping into Title I funds for federal money to allow students who are below a certain what do you call that, economic line, so that they can have free education. So I'm running this over the summer, and it's not sustainable. So how are we going to solve this problem? It's not sustainable to keep feeding one little girl.
Mhm, 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 mhm.
Do we ask her to find a different school? This is a private school,
Right.
just so you know.
Um,
Why is she here
right.
if they can't keep up?
Mhm.
So it's like it's doing this,
Yeah.
and it does that a lot to me because, and I find that when I have to make a cold hard decision, say for example, the first grade teacher, true story, first grade teacher says, "Oh, Kat, I really want to go on this school trip because my daughter is in." Oh, it's not a trip. It was just going over to a church to
Mhm.
be part of a community food bank, right?
Mhm, mhm,
Which happens every week.
mhm.
And so I'm considering all these factors and I end up telling her no. And when I tell her no, she's disappointed, rightfully so, that she doesn't get to go help because that would mean finding a sub. Well, all these other people are sick
Right.
and our subs are filling in for all these. So I had to make this quick, cold call that it can't happen. And that's hard on me to have to
Mhm.
relay that, but I'm noticing that when I have to relay what can happen,
Mhm.
and I know it's going to be hard on somebody, I turn cold.
Mhm.
It's almost like I have to internally not feel.
Hmm.
And
You said
then I
you
feel
you
bad.
said you yourself turn
Yeah,
cold or they turn cold?
I turn cold
Okay, gotcha.
in order for me to spit that out. And here's the thing, this is my role.
Yeah.
Whereas outside of my role,
Mhm.
I don't think I can do it very easily.
Mhm.
It's just like I internally have to tell myself in my role, Kat, step it up.
This is
You
where
have to lead.
this is
You
where-
have to lead.
Yeah.
And leadership positions, I never look for it.
Mm.
I never look for it. I don't want it.
Hmm.
And this is the part that confuses people because I'm a woman of faith
Mhm.
and convictions, but when I feel called
Mhm.
and the calling is a leadership position, I say
Mhm.
yes.
Mm.
Because there's something about my ability
Mhm.
that people see and they say, you will be fantastic in this role. And many times I feel like an imposter because I don't want to be loud and boisterous. I don't think quick on my feet. I really don't.
Mm.
It's like I have to line it up mentally in my head first. Line it all up before anything comes out. I almost have to practice. Like if I'm presenting at a board meeting, that's so nerve-wracking for me. And people think it's so easy. I'm like, it's easy.
I'm just listening to everything that you're saying, and so many thoughts like flying through my head.
Yeah.
But like, first off, being mindful of time.
Yes, because
Yeah.
I don't know what they're doing and like if they're immediately going to take a picture.
Right.
But
Right. Yeah.
here's the thing, I don't need to be in the picture. That's the thing. Like, but I know like some people will be, where are you?
We'll still try to get you there though. It's a once in a, not once in a lifetime, but it's a one time.
Okay.
But you're a very important person. Do you recognize that? Like,
Do you know how hard I am with myself?
I have an idea.
Yeah. So my husband tells me, especially when I started this role, he would say, the problem with you, Kat, is that you're so competent
Mhm.
and you don't know it.
Mm.
And this is a position that I thrive in because I love interacting with the families and meeting their need. I love the students. Over the summer when we have a drop in enrollment because it's the summertime, right?
Yeah.
It's it feels empty, and for me, I'm like, I miss the kids. And some people's reaction is like, oh, I need summer break for a longer time. So that's the part I think that confuses people because I like that interaction. It's valuable to me. There's like for me, in a private school setting, when we can find ways for students who can't always pay for private school to be there.
Mhm.
There's a richness in our culture. And I stand by that. And that's the thing, I don't insist on it. It's this way that I have with trying to influence based on just what I believe in and
Mhm.
what I see is important.
Mhm.
And I try to influence the people around me in that way.
Mhm.
And I do have to say that I knew while the third grade teacher was still there,
Mhm.
that if she was no longer in the picture, the
Mhm.
toxicity would disappear, and it has.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know you super well, but from what I'm hearing, from what I'm witnessing, and then, I would like to think that your husband knows you very well.
I hope so.
Right.
He doesn't understand.
But I feel like he probably has that right. Like, that's kind of the impression that I'm getting too. It's like, that's why I wanted to like ask you, like, I mean, yeah, sure, you're being interviewed and everything, but like a lot of the stuff that you're sharing, like, it's very heavy stuff, and which is not bad at all. But like, I just wanted to really make it like clear that you should take a moment at some point, every once in a while,
Mhm.
weekly at
Mhm.
least, to really pat yourself on the back.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I mean that because what you're explaining right now, what you're describing, like, even, I'm glad that you can even recognize that even in your job, like, the only other person that actually thinks similarly to you is like, it's just one other person, and like to have a heart and mind to not only notice a child, out of like the several that are there, and then be able to tap in and be, oh, this is what is the problem, and then going like even a step further to like, oh, this is how we can like resolve this, but then thinking like, okay, but this is not really sustainable, and what to do from there. And I'm even just wondering, it's like, I asked about, the caring too much thing and everything like that, and it's like just different things that you've already said. I'm like, if I hadn't even asked that question, it's like, I don't know. It seems like the theme that I'm seeing in your life is that you really hold a lot of things together. Your presence and your influence really impact, and I think it's very, very, very important that you continue to keep that in mind and give yourself like credit for that. Like, don't. It's easier said than done, but like, don't downplay yourself, and
Thank
don't be
you.
too hard on yourself. That's
Yeah.
very important that I would like to at least let you know before we continue.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That's really important to hear.
awesome.
It really is, because coming into this role, I'm like, okay, well, okay, you see something that you think I can do, let me give it a go, because it ends up being a good thing. I had to weigh the pros and cons, but I felt called to this position.
Mhm.
And so now that I'm in this position, I do feel like an imposter. And I
Mhm.
feel incompetent in many ways. Like, say, for example, if we have an admin team of 5 people,
Mhm.
and everybody's at it with their thoughts and ideas, and I'm the one who, some of them, my boss even, he's just like, Kat, is there anything you would like to add? And I appreciate that so much, because you don't just spit it out. And
Yeah.
I hate interrupting people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And because it seems as if he understands the way I operate, I say, I'm going to get back to you on that, because sometimes I don't have an idea until I give it a little bit of time. And I think this is the part where I'm just like, he or an I, like for me, I'm like, I process so much, like all the time I'm processing.
Mhm.
So it just seems to be that that's what I'm doing all the time. I don't ever talk about that.
Mhm.
That's what I'm doing all the time.
Mhm.
And then the next day, I wake up and I have this insight, and then I go talk to my principal about it, or I talk to another administrator about it. Why don't you say anything about it? And I'm like, because it almost takes time to understand everything from every angle, even though it feels pretty natural for me to do that. Everybody comes in with their agenda, and they don't understand the impact that it has on people. Like, even if it's further down the line.
Yeah.
What that will do.
Right.
I need a tissue.
Yep. Shit.
Please. So my husband travels a lot. Thank you. No, my husband travels a lot, and he couldn't get me a hotel room here. He had to get me a hotel because of his mile or points or something like that. So, which is nice because
is the hotel
free.
nice?
Oh, it's the same.
It's like, okay, gotcha.
Free points.
Got it. Oh, that's because I always do see you like walking in and out.
Yeah.
So I was like, wonder where she's going all the time.
And
I thought that you were trying to like escape from everyone.
Too.
Gotta get away from these people. They're
like
crazy.
Today, I so appreciate that you're just like, do you need a moment? Like, and I'm like, I do. And so what I did is that I didn't just go sit in the middle of the lobby. I went to go find the back corner to sit and just think. And like, I made myself, and I told Antonia that because she found me and she wanted to ask me my experience. I'm like, I'm not going to look at my notes right now. She's like, it's okay to look at it. I'm like, no, not right now, because there's just so much.
Yeah. Look, I get it. Trust me. Like, I had my share of like escaping. I mean, I'm rooming with 5 people.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. One person sleeps there.
Oh yeah.
Alone sleeps there. Tori sleeps in here with me.
Yes.
And then there's Lauren, Trey, and Joyce. Man. So yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. But I when they're not around, I soak it up, or I will close this door when Tori's in class.
Really?
Like, yeah, I'm just in the room. Like, I'm so I get it. Like, and then if they are like around, I love to hang out with them for sure. But then there's times where it's like, okay, gotta blast.
Yeah.
Gotta like go and do my own thing. So yeah, I get you. So I don't judge you for the trying to escape from that.
Well, I've had to learn through this journey, I had to learn, like, if this is my best type, then or even if it isn't, and I know it's what I need, I need to be okay with that. Like, where my office is at work, it's separate from where the admin building is, because it's closer to it's closer to my kingdom. It's in my kingdom. And I prefer that. I also prefer it because I'm by myself.
Yeah.
There's a hustle and bustle all the time. And I'm like, I just need to be able to think, because I'm constantly around people, and that's not my normal.
I get that. Yeah. I mean, I understand what you're saying for sure. And yeah, definitely not implying that you are.
Yeah, no, but still, please challenge me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm trying to be as open to things as possible.
For sure. I respect that. How would other people describe you, even if you disagreed?
So, a word in the last couple of years, since working in this position, a few people have said, and at first it was described as high emotion. And I'm like, really? Like, and these are people who I haven't shown in my mind high emotion, like I'm bawling or like I'm pissed off or something. And then I said, are you referring to like an intensity? And they're like, yes, there's a quiet intensity. I'm like, I'm the one who's sitting quiet. Like, I don't know if you would even ask Joel and Antonia, but like, I never say anything. I don't. I sit there and I'm just like taking it all in, and I'm feeling like I'm in a sauna that feels so good because I'm just taking things in. And I
I
know,
can picture that for you.
right. And I know that if I have then something to say, then I'll say it. But I definitely have like anxiety over like spitting out my thought.
Mm. Mm.
And if it's gonna be relayed the right way,
Okay.
if I sound like a doofus for even bringing certain things up, just because I feel really behind, like coming in here,
Okay.
I felt really behind with understanding everything.
Mm.
So I was just taking in and learning.
Got you.
Yeah.
How else would other people describe you?
Punctual.
Mm. And you agree with that?
Yes. Well, it's also the way I was raised. My father was just like, don't be on time, you're always early. And so that's been okay. So my boss would say, because he doesn't give a lot of feedback, which is interesting. It's almost like there's this understanding that he understands me, but he doesn't give a lot of feedback, and I wish he did. And I'm still trying to figure out a way. And I feel like it's so easy for me just to figure out a way to say, hey, I would appreciate feedback. Those words are easy enough. But one thing he told me is that I like that you're direct.
And direct in what way would you say?
That when I come in and I have an issue that I need to bring up to him, it's this is the and I just lay it out. And then direct, and I ask for his thoughts on things and this is what I'm thinking. And it's just, things are concise. Things are just direct.
Got it.
Quick, easy, concise. I think it's a good word.
Concise? Yeah. Got you. Okay.
My mother's told me, and this is the part that trips me up if I'm a J, my mother's told me I'm messy. And like, I don't know if this is like a trauma thing, because my mother is definitely SITE, somewhere in there. And growing up, I was the biggest headache to her because I was messy. And I had a part of me was almost like a rebel in that, well, if that's what you think,
right,
I'm going to do it this way. So I don't know if that's a piece of it, but I'm not the neatest person. But I do want to say that when my husband's out of town on work trip or something like that, my space is neater. So it's almost this, I give up, I can't keep up with everybody's crap kind of thing, But living on my hotel room, it's pretty decent. I could take care of things in my space. It's just when I'm with other people, no, but like growing up, my mother, she was concerned about that part about it.
You're actually kind of like going right in alignment, because I've been excited to ask, like, how were you like as a child? So since you already started.
So it's interesting because when I would go home recently, visit family, I'm starting to inquire more about what they thought it was like. Because I'm a twin sister.
Oh,
identical twin.
What?
And when I started in January with this course, I was in the journey because I was confused, because the idea and everyone would be, oh, you guys are so much alike. But they didn't really know. We're not. There can't be no way that we're alike. I believe she's an ISFJ. And there are certain things about the difference with the S that I see we butt heads in to this day. But growing up, I was very shy. I was a minute older than my sister, and I was always the one in charge. So because they put me in that position that I'm in charge, because there were three of us, that I was like a mother to my little sister, and I had to be in charge. But I was shy. I was like a teacher's pet. But when it came to my parents, they thought I was a rebel. When it comes to my family, and I have a large, what we call a clan, I was a black sheep. And if there was anybody I connected with, it was my grandmother. who since passed like last couple of years.
My
That's been,
condolences.
in that's surfaced the value of my relationship with her so much since she passed away. Yeah. But I was a rebel in that when I felt like something wasn't fair, why would you do that? And it wasn't because of just the fairness. It was, this is how it made people feel because you did this. I'd call my mother on it. And in my home, my father would be like, you don't ever talk to us that way. And so I get in trouble. And I was that person who was in trouble because I opened my mouth. Something isn't right. I'm going to point that one out.
So, despite feeling very shy growing up, you were still thrown in charge. Like, are you equally shy, more shy than your sister? Or?
I would think that people would say I'm not as shy as my sister. Yes. And I really think it's because I've been put in really awkward situations where my parents were like, you're doing it. And my sister would be like, you're doing it. Making doctor's appointments on the phone was so scary, right? Ordering for pizza was so scary, but they made me do it. They made me go up to the counter and interact with the people in front of me and do all that. And so I had to learn quickly that I'm going to be the person doing it for my sisters. And so I was the go-to all the time.
I see. Is it just because you were like a minute older than your sister? Or did they see?
I don't know. I have no idea why, but it was probably also, I was probably more vocal.
So you would say that you were vocal even despite like what's the word I'm looking for? I guess, well, no, it does still make sense though. Sorry, I'm just processing in my head. It's like I'm picturing this very shy child and everything, but like even like as as an adult, you're still shy. It's like speak in class, like make protection of this my thoughts, whatever. But I guess when it comes to something that's like an injustice or like something's not right, then that shyness you would say like just disappears.
To my parents. Because in my mind it was supposed to be a safe place.
Okay. I see.
Right?
Yeah.
If I see an injustice in the room, I would just take note, this person isn't safe for me. I don't say things out loud. I won't speak out about like, I can't believe you made that comment about special needs kids.
Right.
Like there were people that were jumping in on the conversation that was just in jest, that Joel had mentioned about TE as in jest, and people got a little bit worked up about things, right? And I could have gone there because that's my background, right? And I don't. I don't, and I really wish I could. I aspire to, but I don't. And I think I need to feel a little bit more competent in myself to be able to voice everything that I know is in here already.
Got it. Okay. I also wanted to ask about the black sheep comment. And what was it about your grandmother that made you feel like you were part of the flock?
My grandmother, if there was anybody that will sit down and listen to my big thoughts, she would sit down and listen. There were 10 of us cousins. And people joke when she had passed away and everything, like all my aunties and uncles, it'd be like, oh, Kat's the favorite. And I think my grandmother and I were probably a lot more alike than different. in that she didn't mind listening to the nonsense coming out of Kat. Whereas other people just had other things to do, places to go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Do you prefer to have like your day pretty much like your day to day like really like, planned out and all of that, or would you say that you're somebody who kind of like goes with the flow, kind of like improvises throughout the day?
So every morning, yes, I am more, I prefer some sort of a plan, an idea. So every morning I would wake up and I would look at my calendar. Okay, this is what's happening at work. Like I even do that on a Sunday night so that I can just like have things laid out so that I can see what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm finding is that when there's a false alarm fire drill and we didn't know somebody had tripped the fire alarm,
Mm-hmm.
or somebody fell and broke their arm,
Mm-hmm.
everybody gets so freaked out about it, frazzled.
Mm-hmm.
And I almost love the problem solving, the day-to-day problem solving, when it's not like super intense life and death situation. It's easy for me.
Mm-hmm.
Easy enough.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, that
Yeah.
I don't get all worked up. Like I know that at the end of the day, everything's going to turn out just fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I was always like that,
Mm-hmm.
because compared to my husband, who I passively typed as an ESFP,
Mm-hmm.
he just sees me as somebody who's always doomsday. I'm like, really? Do I really come across that way to you? Because everybody, at least my boss, seems to think, I wish everyone was as optimistic as you. And I'm like, is that what it is? Because if it's an optimism, it's just knowing that our life isn't in danger if the fire alarm goes off
Yeah.
and the day is frazzled. You know, like, oh, we're starting choir 5 minutes later because of that fire alarm. You know,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah. Hear you. I hear you. Would you say then that you are someone who tends to take on way more than you can chew, and it's like kind of like a tendency, it's like maybe like throughout the day, are you more likely to be like just juggling like so many different like needs of people and all of that to the point where it's like, man, I'm exhausted, I'm so everything's just so full of the people, whatever, and it's like I have to like learn to like go back into myself? Or would you say that you're someone who maybe is like, you know what, you can probably extend yourself a little bit further. You're a little bit too protective of that energy of yours.
I am protective of my energy.
Mm-hmm.
When I know that there are 4 different things for the weekend, if it's a kid driving this kid here or something I'm involved in at church or something, I know now better than ever that I have to say no to some things because I know I can't do all of it. I can't do all of it.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at the week plan and I know graduation, which is coming up, graduation, I know and trying to manage children and what they have to do and how they can be entertained when my husband's out of town or something like that, that I have to manage myself. And sometimes I come home and I'm completely spent and I'm not in a good place because I'm so exhausted and not taking care of myself. So last night I knew I had to be done because I knew what was happening this morning, and I have been sleep deprived and I don't do well. I'm so happy that I'm in the same time zone. I'm happy that the lights have bothered me because it gives me a headache. So I've come in here and then I get a headache during the sessions. Lights, too much noise. And I love laughter, but there's a point when you're tired. I can't be
Yeah.
And only certain people who are really gracious to understand that I need that space.
Mhm.
We have that space. Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I see. So when you say that you are protective of your energy in that way, and essentially, I guess what I'm wondering is, how long did it take for you to like learn that? Oh yeah, no, I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna have to start saying no. Like, would you say that it was more of your natural inclination to like just do, and then it's like maybe like at a certain age, or was it a certain incident that you're like, man, I kind of,
I need to slow down.
yeah.
I believe in being in a job, being in a place in your life where you thrive, and that's going to be different for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I use that word purpose,
Mm-hmm.
it's something I've used because of my upbringing, my faith upbringing. Okay?
Right.
And it, to me, what it really is I need to have meaning. So when I have meaning, in the role I'm in right now, I have meaning.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a servant, and I drive myself, and I stay to the end, and I'm there early, and I serve, and I'm serving, and I need to catch myself. But when it's things that are not really important, my husband's just like, I'm in my happy place if I'm in my bed watching TV. And when everybody feels like, oh, I'm so bored, I'm never bored. My mind's always engaged with something.
Yeah.
I can be anywhere.
Got it. Got you. Okay. I have many more questions, but
Okay.
we're going to make sure that you get that picture.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah. And then
all right,
we will continue.
Okay.
Okay. So I think first and foremost, I wanted to ask you, we're still talking about your childhood and everything, and then I remember that we had also finished talking about her, like how you were the black sheep and your experience with your grandmother and stuff like that. And then I just want to start hitting some low hanging fruit just now to like, see what might be there.
Yeah.
So I know that you said that you are not really, would you consider yourself to be at all spontaneous?
No.
No.
That's
Okay.
not how people would describe it.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. And I know that we talked about how like, sometimes you can take on a lot at once and everything, and then, now you've been like learning to like temper that. I wanted to ask like what kind of like led to that? Like, was there like a certain experience? Or like, do you know like around like what age when you started to realize like, dang, I kind of I kind of do a lot, or I kind of take on more than maybe I'm capable of.
So I believe that I can take on a lot of giving of my time. But when it comes to the everyday, like more detail things, like we need to run the dishwasher. Somebody forgot to get this started so that we have it for dinner. Like those things, like it becomes so too much that things somehow fall apart.
Yeah.
When my husband was in town and he's part of the dance of the day, then things are different. And then when, not that they're better, it's almost like because he works a lot out away from us, that I've learned to be very independent. That when I'm doing life and then he comes in, it kind of shatters my day, because suddenly there's somebody else that can actually help check things off the list. I'm not very good at making sure everything is done when it comes to almost, and I feel guilty about this, but almost like my personal life. But when it's work, I'm really efficient. I feel like I'm pretty efficient. but it's the everyday that gets overwhelming. It's the, did you call the dentist? Did you get the appointment down? Did you go to the grocery store because my daughter needs to make sure she brings something for her class party? Like it's these things that seem to be challenging for me. Not that I can't do it, but I can tell that it's overwhelming for me. At the end of the day, can I get it all done? Yes. But it's overwhelming. It's not like, ooh, I'm in my element. Kind of, no.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah. Got you. Yeah, for sure. That makes something very clear. Just so you know.
Okay.
So that was really helpful. What about okay, actually, let me put you in a situation. So let's say I am the boss of the company that you work for.
Yes.
And as I am trying to give you your new position, I'm giving you two options. I'm like, Kat, you can either be the person who everybody, like all the employees, like refer to as you, like you're like the project manager. So you're making sure that everybody is executing the projects. You're in charge of, like, when everybody's going to meet up. It's like, hey, how far did you get on this part? How far did you get on that part? You're delegating the task, making sure the projects are getting done in a timely manner. Or you're the person who's pretty much like checking in on the employees, like making sure that the ecosystem of the job is kind of like cohesive. Like, okay, like if there's any complaints that are going on, if people are having certain like issues, like or whatever like that, you're the person that like kind of like is on charge, like is on top of that. Which one of those two jobs would you choose if you had to, and which would like come more natural to you?
So if I understand you correctly, I'm much better at dealing with the people and the dynamics of people. If a parent is upset because they never got communicated with by the teacher, and so I always put that fire out. And like the way I seem to do it is I give them a perspective that I don't know, for some reason I'm effective at it, and it's easy for me. But and I don't know what you mean by the other way of like managing, making sure everyone has their tasks completed. I have to do that too at work. Like if people have to turn in, say, their yearly planning for every single subject.
Yeah.
We go first. Everyone's working on math, and so I have to make sure everybody. So I have to do that as well. I find that it's not what I prefer to do, and I know in all this profiling we use that word a lot, but this is something that I realize about myself before even knowing anything about cognitive functions. When I would prepare an IEP, I would take a student and I would test them for several days. Different assessments that I had to give them, and the data. It's interesting to me, right? I love it, and I have the part that I didn't like was writing it all out. I got really good at writing IEPs. They can be up to 36 pages long. But it was interesting because other resource teachers and interventionists, we would get together because the third grade team would get together, the fourth grade team, the resource teachers would get together in the districts, and we would just collaborate. And there would be some people that realize, in my perfect world, I would rather just do all the IEP writing. And I'm like, you would? And they said, yeah. And they found out that I wouldn't choose that. I would rather do the groups and intervention and be with the students and working with the parents. And some people are like, oh no, I wouldn't want to do that. So I realized right away that there were two kinds of interventionists. And some of them would just want to test the kids and sit for hours. and stare at a paper and write their thoughts.
Right.
And even though I'm a pretty decent
good at it.
writer,
That's not where
I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like, I'll raise my hands every time to be with kids.
Mm-hmm.
And not just kids, like, even if they were adults, I'd rather be with people and helping them. And I think it's because I feel like one thing that I have that, and this is something I believe people would say about me, is that I'm encouraged. Like, I love giving a compliment. Like, and it's never something I just make up. It's something that I try to find that's real. And I don't know if I don't really know. I've never thought about it if I do it because I want to make people feel happy towards me or happy because they look sad. No, it's not that. I think it just naturally comes out. So I encourage people.
Yeah. I got it.
Yeah.
I got it totally. Especially you saying that, like, it just naturally comes out. It's not something that you're like looking for, or that's faked or feigned to get a reaction and stuff like that. And that makes sense. And yeah, you're totally right. There are definitely a lot of people who would just prefer to just do the, as you call it, like IEP work and everything like that. And that's so surprising. But then it's funny because then they're surprised too by the people who say, no, I'd rather just deal with the people. What?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
And I think it's because I find it easy. It's just
easier.
For me.
Exactly. Yeah, like what comes most naturally to you. And it's not to say that you can't do the other thing. And it's not to say they can't do the other thing too. Yes. But that's why I was asking, like, if you had to choose like the job, like now I'm giving you the option, like not only which one would you do better, but which one would you also like want to actually do. So yeah, that explains a lot. How would you describe your relationship with your emotions?
I always believed I was emotional. It's fun, it's so hilarious to me how I can always call it when we're doing an embodiment exercise and something isn't moving me emotionally inside because everyone is a meditative state, right? And we're trying to think whatever the prompt is. I open my eyes and I'm noticing that the people around me are crying and then and I don't know why they're crying. And then they start raising their hands and sharing why they're crying. Or not why, but like what their experience was about.
Yeah.
And they're crying. I start to tear.
Yeah.
And I try so hard to not do that so much. I do it in a work setting, but it's for example, one time I had a friend who, after maybe 3 years of marriage, they had a kid. By the end of they had a child, and by the time they finished their 3rd year of marriage, he was gone. Right, like they decided they were going to be done, and I was talking to him. They were both friends of mine, and when I realized what had happened, and he was telling me about, we had our differences, whatever. I had tears in my eyes when I was listening to him, and I was just listening and nodding my head, trying to be encouraging. And he looked at me. He's like, "Why are you crying?" Like it had irritated him. And he started laughing. He's just like, "It's okay, Kat. It's just better. It's better this way anyway." And I said, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And then I was just like, "You know what, Danny? I want you to understand that my tears are just an expression of my compassion."
Yeah.
That was all it was.
Yeah.
And then I'm fine. And so that's where I'm at with my emotions.
Yeah.
The whole FEFI thing is still confusing to me, but
yeah, we'll talk about that for sure. Yeah, everything is still an open book. I mean, I have a lot of trains, but I'm being very thorough.
Ask away with that. Like that is, I wear emotions right here. I do it with Here's another thing that I do so easily, and it's something that's an obvious for me. When there's some staff members that are talking about, oh, hearing that this child's mother might have cancer. Oh no, because like he asked for prayers about his mom having cancer. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Is this true? Is this true? Because when you hear from a child, you don't really know if they really know what they're talking about. So they bring it up to me, and I hear them out, and I'm like, thank you for letting me know. Well, Kat, what are we gonna do? I'm like, I tell the teacher, it would be fantastic if you can check in with the parent. Okay, that's all I said. And she's like, no way, there's no way. And I'm like, okay. So I waited after school during pickup time. I told the person who was in charge of pickup, I said, I'm looking for this parent, this child's parent. Okay, I'll call you. Call me on the radio. And the teachers that were like, Kat, they were the one huddling about the situation. So they watch me, and I go over to the parent's car, and I pull her out of the car. So I was talking to her in front of the kids, and I asked her. I said, "This is what your son wanted to pray about." And I said, I checked in with her. I wanted to find out if there's anything we can do to help, and if this was true, like if it's all of that. Good conversation she had, tears in her eyes, and she's just like, I didn't realize it had such an impact on him. And I'm like, now that we know what's really going on at home, we'll keep an eye on your son. I go back to where all the teachers are like, and they were shocked that was so easy for me. That it was easy. And I kind of shocked myself too, because I find that I'm at this point in my life that I can do that more easily without shame. Like, it's an uncomfortable topic. They're not people I really know. The family's not, they just attend my school. But that's my kid, that's my student. So all of our students. So that's my mentality.
I love that.
First and foremost.
It reminds me of like, this is a very lesser scale, but there's like memes of like an INFP and a certain type like at the restaurant or something, and the like type would just be like, hey, like I guess like they'll like raise their hand or something to get the server's attention and say like, oh, I think that we asked also for this, or like, just pretty much like
reminding,
like get something for the INFP or something. Right. It's just like, wow, like you're just so brave for just speaking to the server to like fix an order or something like that. And it's like, but then the other types like, oh, that's just kind of like easy for me to do. So I don't know, like that was like kind of like the meme that like came up, and it seems like that, like that's what I was picturing in my head. Like, no, why would he go talk to the parents? And for you, they're like, oh my gosh, the parents there. And it's just like, okay, and you just go over there, and it's just natural for you to just go and talk to anyone. It seems like doesn't mean that you always want to talk to them, but you're skilled at being able to do so.
It's interesting because even if there's somebody who's like somebody who, he's the person in charge of this huge, and I see them walking down the hallway, I'd say good morning, just because it's, you don't ignore people.
It's called being a decent human being.
It's being a decent human being.
For sure.
I mean, that alone. But that alone's easy, and it's clear.
And I think if I'm understanding correctly, it's cool too that it seems like this is an innate value of yours, rather than like just because there's some people who, especially like that are Christians, it's like, oh, this is just what Jesus would want us to do, kind of thing. And it's like, I'm glad that you're following Jesus, and you're trying to be Christ-like that way, but
it's almost beyond just because of that for me now. Like, it's funny, like even with attending church. They're like, oh, it's because that's the way you were raised. I'm like, no, it's because it's now a principle of mine.
Yeah.
It's just
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
you're good to other people,
Mhm.
and yeah, you're all part of the same family,
Mhm.
and we treat each other with dignity, with
For
respect,
sure.
and it's just, and so yeah, and it's, I don't know if it's because my parents always told us that, but not really.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, that's the impression I get too. Because even though you did mention church and stuff, it doesn't sound like you're saying stuff like, yeah, because my faith requires me to be like this. And I've definitely talked to a lot of people that are like that. And it doesn't mean that they're like bad people, but it's like, oh, that's interesting.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
I wonder if
Yeah.
you didn't have your faith.
Mm.
Yeah. So, but it seems like this is very like innate for you.
Yeah.
And are you comfortable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. If you need to, like,
No, I'll just keep adjusting.
Just
Just like
cool.
my leg is numbing, I'll flip
Yeah.
around.
Yeah. No. Same thing. Same thing. So I was just making sure that feel free.
Yeah, thank you.
But okay. I would like to then ask you, if you had to choose, would you say that you are more tapped in with the feelings of other people, or your own feelings? Like if you had to choose.
Not that it's difficult, but I think I'm trying to understand what this is. For example, if something happened in the playground,
Mhm.
and you start hearing a kid screaming,
Yeah.
and you realize that they're hurt because they fell,
Mhm.
I'd immediately check to make sure other people, other children, that everyone's calm, that they're okay, that they're not panicked. If I were to be put in a disaster situation, I probably would almost, because I've been put in some situations where I feel like I have this outer body experience and I'm looking at the things around me and the people around me and how they're responding.
Mm.
And then I'm that person who just realizes, it's settled once the dust settles, and I go home after the incident has happened and things have calmed down, then I'm just like, whoa. Then I realize the impact it had on me.
I see. Okay. So then that said, would you say that actually no, it's not. We're gonna put a pin on that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Because that could be sussed out in other ways.
All
but
right.
in the meantime, I would love to know, what are some things that are very obvious to you, but not very obvious to other people? And then the reverse, like what some things are very like clear and obvious to you, but then to other people, but then it's like you're the last person to find out, like you didn't get the memo.
Oh, okay. I think the things, and I get really emotional about this one, because the things that are obvious to me are the things I can't speak out loud sometimes because it's absurd. It's that when I'm seeing the train about to run over, to keep going when there are no more tracks, kind of thing, and I know a disaster is going to hit. I'm not those like real like, oh, I can see that. I'm not like that at all, but it's as if I can tell when somebody is going to make a decision, how that will impact people, how it would impact the situation. Okay, here's an example. My kid is a drummer. He's quite good at it. He doesn't read music. So at school, when they have a music department and there's a jazz band, and he's asked to be in the jazz band, and he doesn't read music, the teacher gets frustrated. So my kid walks out. Right? You're a music teacher. Right. Teach my kid. Okay?
Yeah.
So now another drummer who is in a upper class, a higher class, is playing because he reads music. But what happens when that kid is gone? And my kid can play, but you never taught him music. Okay, so I'm thinking of that. But I also think also at church, when the drummer that we have, his identity is he is the drummer of the church, right? So I don't want anyone touching the drum.
That's what it sounds like.
But to me, it's not. Then that stings for my kid. And this is the part that like I feel like I can't voice so much because it sounds like I'm saying things that aren't something that's happening right now. But I say, if we don't guide the young people of our church, we won't have a church.
Yeah.
When this drummer is gone for whatever reason, because I'm like, I even put in my mind, you're so unhealthy. You've had so many health issues that you could keel over and die. And my brain has gone that direction because I've just been like, we will not have a drummer at church.
Yeah.
Like, so my mind is always going, where things could go and the impact people have. It's so much bigger than we realize.
Yeah.
I don't know what your question was, but that's where I was going.
No, you hit really strongly because in the previous section of our session, you actually answered this question without me asking it, and I just wanted to see if you would say something along the same things. And you did. So I didn't even have to like add more to that. Like and all this I'll explain at the end.
Yeah.
That's cool. But the second part of the question though was what are things that are like very obvious to other people but not very obvious to you? It's like, I just missed this, or like,
I try to laugh at myself now when, like, even being here, when, and I don't know what it is I'm doing. Am I talking to somebody? Am I just in my head? When they tell us where something's going to happen or what time we're supposed to be, I have to ask, or I text somebody, do you remember what time we're supposed to be back? 7:15, 7:30, or like, because sometimes we let out for lunch later than what the plan is, and I don't catch that. And people look at me and they're like, "We're supposed to be understanding of you, Kat."
Who said that?
I'm like, thank you, because those are the kind of things I find that I miss a lot, and I don't know what's in the way. I don't really know why I miss little things like that. Like, it seems little, but it's. I remember feeling when years before, and maybe once in a while, even now, I feel kind of dumb because I miss them at all. Like, this whole time I'm sitting in the lobby and I'm like, so where is everybody? I'm waiting for you to respond to me, and I'm sitting there with all the robots. And I'm like, hey guys, what aren't you supposed to start walking over? Because I'm thinking that the bar is like somewhere next door. That's what I heard, and I missed the details.
It checks out. It checks out. It checks out. There are certain types of people that are like that, and they have other gifts.
It kind of worries my husband sometimes. It's just like, I don't understand. Oh.
I understand. Okay, cool. Okay, I'm gonna tackle this now. I guess first I'll ask. Put this in order from greatest to least of what takes up the most space in your mind. The following.
Okay.
Past, future, present.
it's kind of annoying for me, but I find that I'm always thinking of not just my past, but everybody else's past. No, not past, future. I think about the future and everybody's future, and how, like I told my husband the other day, it would be so lovely if when I come home, we've picked out a home to buy. Okay. And he's just like, it doesn't work that way. I'm like, but if we can just move forward, if we can inch by inch move forward, if my son can inch by inch, like I see so much potential in people and so much potential in the way we do things, like even in the work setting at school, everybody's talking about, oh, how are we going to get more enrollment, increase enrollment. And the way I think is, great, you guys think about increasing enrollment, and I'll think about how we're going to keep our families here.
Wow.
We have to keep our families here. What is that going to take? Well, it's going to take, we have to have some pretty solid teachers. We can't have, and I say it straight to my boss because now he knows the situation. Like, it can't be like our third grade teacher who walked out on us, who wasn't committed to what we're here, what we're about.
Wow.
So it's almost the management, because there have been so many families that have complained about this third grade teacher, and I'm like, it's either she wants us to be on board with her, or if I'm not on board and I'm trying to hold her accountable, she's going to walk away. And so I told my principal, I said, guess what? We need to have a plan. We need to have a backup plan. We had a backup plan, and I knew immediately who I had to go to fill in her position. And she's not a teacher, she's an aide, and she was the best person for these group of kids in this class. But I knew it was going to happen, and but yeah, I'm always thinking, if I'm on vacation, I'm always thinking about maybe the near future, but not even that. I'm always like trying to plan something different, how can something improve? What can we do to tweak things so it's just better all around? Yeah, because I want to keep all my kids.
Yeah.
I want them to just love being here so much that they don't want to leave. Their families are satisfied because we know how to manage them.
Yeah. That checks out. What would you say is the second thing? Past, present?
I rarely, probably the present. Yeah. I find that it's very this is another thing that my family at least thinks, that if I'm like missing, like cat's lost, is remembering what's happened in the past. Like my little sister, she's amazing at understanding and remember when this happened, and she goes off into the details of a certain situation back when we were kids, and I'm just like, how do you do that? And then my twin, interestingly enough, she's the gotta put the next month album up on social media and put all the month's pictures. Then the next month, and I'm kind of behind, so I can't post it from what's happening now. I have to post it in order and very and it kind of drives me batty. And I drive her crazy because I don't do that. I don't post enough for her.
Got it. That's so funny.
Well, you went on that trip. I don't understand why you don't share us the pictures. Well, and I don't know what social media says regarding anyone's type, but like I used to, and it was just like I can't keep up. So I just didn't like to do it very much.
Heard.
And she's just like, what do you feel you're dating with? I'm like, I'm busy. And I'm like, and then on the side, I'm like obsessively like listening on podcasts.
Yeah. It's like crack. Podcasts, audiobooks.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely heard that.
Yes.
Okay. No, that's actually not surprising. How would you describe your relationship with your body? Like, do you feel like you're tuned into it? Do you trust it? Like,
Do I trust my body?
yeah. Like,
What is
do you
that?
feel like if maybe like for example, like right now, you're like, leaning on the edge of the bed in that way, like do you feel like if you were like to about to slip off or something, you trust yourself to maybe roll in away quickly enough to like save yourself or something like that?
If we're talking clumsy, if my mother had a word for me growing up, for some reason I'm the one who was a klutz. It was funny because we would go home and she does this. Oh, remember when you were at there was this store down in Southern California where it was I forget what it's called. It was like it's like a Costco, but it's not Costco. It was something similar, like a warehouse type place. And she would always remind me, remember how I would never want you to go around the Costco. And I'm like, why? She was afraid I was knock something over because apparently I always did that. And I'm like, no, I was growing. I don't know. What was your question?
Like your relationship with your body. Like, do you feel like you trust it? Did you play any sports growing up?
I'm not an athlete.
Okay, got you.
So things like, and this is something I can be proud of. I'm not a basketball player. I felt like I was always, I was small in size, and when people were bigger or stronger, they would push me, and I can't keep upright. So I just realized it wasn't really good. But I won the free throw contest in high school.
Wow, how many other people?
Well, just like all the other girls in PE.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know if it's because I just learned how to just do free throws.
Right.
But I can't play ball.
Interesting.
And badminton, I ended up playing against the star player upperclassman in high school, and I beat her. And it was like a school-wide thing. And the thing is, it was hilarious to everybody because it's not something I'm good at. But I still beat her, and I don't know why that is.
I see.
That's unusual.
Yeah, I see.
I beat Tammy Marsh. I actually remember that because
it was that monumental.
It was monumental.
Yeah. Okay, I see. All right, well, then let's talk about your fashion sense. I've noticed over the past few days, you do have something going on there.
What?
Yeah, you don't think so? Or is that like a modest what?
I have no fashion sense.
Okay.
That's a
fair.
Like,
okay.
I would talk to Rebecca ENFJ, and she's so bright and like she loves color, and this is like a couple months before we were actually here, and I'm like, well, you'll see me. I'm gonna wear a lot of black. I love black. It's simple. It's I'll wear, and I find I don't shop very much. I wear the same thing. I like just keeping things simple. And I think it's because I don't do trendy ever. Probably I don't know what to do with it. But I've had different comments. You always dress so nicely. I'm like, what? So I have no concept of how I'm appearing to people. Interesting. Yes. I'm not name brand. I'm not, I actually don't want to flash very name brand, but I don't even think about that. Well, okay, here's an example. Oh, this tickles everybody who loves me, right? my mother is all style. She is like hip as hip gets, right? She loves her Louis Vuitton.
Louis, wow. Look at her.
If she likes certain things, she likes purses. So she's moved on from one purse to another, and so she's just like, I'm gifting you something. And I'm like, okay, so she gives me a Louis Vuitton purse. And so I've had it the last like 3 years, and she's just like, where's my purse? Where's the purse I gave you? I'm like, oh, it's in the closet, you know. Do you ever use it? I'm like, and because I don't want to hurt her, I'm like, pull it out once in a while. I haven't used it. No, I used it one time.
Okay.
For music practice. I was kind of uncomfortable taking it to church. For music practice at church. Yeah. Someone made a comment. Oh my. And it was like all of a sudden I wanted like.
Yeah.
So that's.
I get it.
I don't.
I got you.
I don't.
Okay.
And everybody at school at work, they're just like, oh, Patagonia. Because I am decked in Patagonia. Because John's best friend, my husband's best friend, is a ambassador. And so we get everything from Patagonia for super cheap.
Okay. So yeah, it just kind of works out.
But it makes me so uncomfortable. Like the image I'm bringing across, that people think that I spend
That much money
on Patagonia. I'm just like, which, you know, helps me to be more empathetic of people and like compassionate towards them when people are just judging them for what they think that isn't real.
Right.
It just opens my eyes.
Yeah, I see.
But no, I have no fashion sense.
Okay. Got you. Would you say that you are more likely to act too soon? Or are you more likely to not even act at all?
Not even act at all.
Yeah.
That's the trouble that I face for myself in my personal growth when it comes to being a leader in school. In fact, my administration, we've all looked at the areas of growth and everybody's voted. They all voted that, Kat, you need to speak up more even when it's against another person's thoughts, because what they're telling me is that they value what I have to say. Because I always have an opinion. Like that's another thing. I always have an opinion, but I don't always share it. But if it's really important, it's gonna come out. But yeah. And so I'm in a space where I find that it's safer to, it's like being here. Being here in this community, like it's safe for people to be as quirky as you know you are.
Yeah.
It's kind of nice.
Kind of.
It's nice. It's like, can you imagine? This is what I was thinking, and this has been spinning in my head for a while now, like, because this is so transformative to me. And then being here and seeing the culture that this place has established, like it's just, people are so open and they're not ashamed of it. And when they talk about how they feel about their inferior functions or things like that, how open people are and how much they realize that they have to grow in those areas. It's knowing that when we go home, what is that going to look like? Because not everybody is going to accept that Kat's going to walk away because I don't want to be part of everybody. Like this evening, I love these people, but I'm tired of all the loud and laughter. And I love laughter.
Welcome to Profiler Training. My name's Joel Mercury.
It's so great, right? Like, but like a lot of there's just too much at the same time that I can't talk to you. So I'm good. I'm really good, and I don't have FOMO about that.
Yeah, I get it. I do. Trust me. I'm telling you, I definitely understand. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um. So you said that you always have an opinion.
Yeah.
Would you say? Would you say that you're somebody who, like, you're very confident in your opinion, or like, are you usually very confident in your opinion, or would you say there's someone who has a tendency to like ask for a lot of other people's opinions on something and gather as many perspectives as you can before you form your opinion?
I don't generally ask what people think.
Mm.
I ask about how people feel about something because that seems to be important so that I can make a decision in my mind, a thought in my mind about the next course of action. Like, because, for example, there is this one aide that's going to be bumped out of her space, her room, because we're adding more staff, right? And so adding more staff means there's not much space left. And so she might have to be without space. And she is crushed, and no one really understands that. And so what I've said out loud to my admin team is they're just like, well, she doesn't understand that this is important. And just like, she needs to be, well, we need to have a solution because the way I see it is if she feels devalued, she's not going to be the best worker.
Yeah.
We want to make everybody feel valuable.
Yeah.
In this space. If we've got good people, we gotta make them, we gotta appreciate them.
Yeah.
Or we're gonna lose them. So
it seems like you're really good at being able to notice that. That's definitely something that's very obvious too.
And I think people know that. I think so because they come and talk to me about it. And they know, Kat, we know it might not go in our favor and it might not go into anything, but we know we just appreciate that you can listen to what we have to say. I'm like, okay, and I don't want to just listen if it's just that I can decide whether it's an action I need to move on or not. And only because it's my role.
Got it. Okay. So, okay. So, would you say that you're someone who's usually like aware of what's going on around you?
No, I don't think so. I lived in this community after we lived overseas. Oh, I never even told you about that. That's been life-changing for me, living overseas. But
nice.
We were living in this community for 3 years, or 4 years. I worked in the school for 4 years, and we were leaving, and our neighbor said, "Oh yeah, I'll pick up your daughter and go meet me at this bank." I'm like, "Which bank is this?" And he had to describe to me, and so I told John, my husband, was just like, how did I not know that there was a bank here? It was just outside the community, at the corner, right beside the grocery store that I would go to. And I didn't know that there was this specific bank right there. It's not my bank. I've never been there before. I never looked for it before, but I didn't know what was here. So that's one example. I didn't know. So when we did the embodiment exercise about paying attention to the texture of everything and touch the chair and look at the wall, I was like, wow. And we had been there for a few days already. I'm like, I didn't realize the carpet was so hideous until now. Things like that. No, I'm not normally aware of everything. I can move into a space, and I've actually done this before. When I've lived in this apartment, I walk inside and I'm like, someone was here. So, someone was here, and I don't know what it was. I found out that somebody had walked in when I had stepped outside to where the laundry was at, and somebody had walked in, took my purse, and ran into the back and dug through my purse. But it was a weird feeling that I had, and it was that it was a weird sensation that I had when I walked inside, and I'm like, who was in here? And I didn't really see anything was moved, but it was this weird feeling that something wasn't right. Yeah, I normally don't know about my surroundings.
What about when it comes to like people too? Like, would you say that it's very easy for you to be engaged, like when you're interacting with people, or even when you're interacting with people, like it's hard for you to like be present?
I interact well with people. Especially if it's one-on-one. Because if it was a group, sometimes I like zone out. And I don't know if it's because I'm tired, or sometimes I'm like in my head, distracted with other things around me. And I used to think I had ADHD, actually, because I felt like everything distracted me.
Got you. Okay. Well, how about when it comes to very abstract, conceptual, and philosophical conversations? How long are you able to go for those? Or, better yet, what role do you play in those conversations? Are you usually the person who's leading the conversation? Are you the person who's kind of like chiming in and like, very excited? Are you somebody who's like, I understand everything they're saying, but I just don't really have anything to add? Or are you the person who's like, this is not real? Like, why are we talking about the afterlife? Or like the meaning of love, or whatever it might be, aliens, and just wanting to like just go outside and like, do something else or whatever?
No, I think those are the topics that I probably gravitated to, that my grandma and I can talk about. Yeah. It was almost my face, because someone can listen to my questions about big things, and because I felt like growing up, it was often brushed aside. There was no time for that. Life needs to happen.
Yeah.
I can sit and talk. I really believe my boss is intuitive. So when we talk about the future of the school, I can sit and I don't realize how long I've been sitting. And in a small group setting, I am a participant, because I feel very strongly about things like that, like things that are bigger than what we realize things are. But at the same time, when the group gets too big, I find that I'm the one who's actively participating. I'm there. And even if nothing's coming out of my mouth, there are only a few people that understand that I'm still with you. And if suddenly somebody says, what do you think, Kevin? Then suddenly I am given the mic. I'm given the platform where now we're going to listen to you and not constantly interrupt, because there's so many people talking all at the same time. Because people are just, I don't want to say pushy. It's not the pushiness. They're just so quick to respond to everything, and I'm not. I don't feel like I am. When it's just a normal conversation, a conversation that understand really well, then yes, I can probably just hop in a conversation. But sometimes probably different factors. I don't like interrupting people.
Yeah.
I think it's don't do that. Let them finish their thought. Don't try to get on top of them saying something is wrong and not really knowing what their finished thought is. Like, that's one thing.
That's a huge
Yeah.
pet peeve for me. I tweet about it all the time. I complain about it in my YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Even when other people are just doing it to each other. Can you let him talk? I want to hear the rest of what he had to say.
Yes.
Sometimes I watch I used to watch what was this show? It was like this show with Tamara Mori, and it was like some girl show with my wife, and they would just interrupt each other all the time. And I wanted to hear what Lonnie had to say. It's like, and they just keep on doing it to each other. I'm like, this is stressful.
Yeah. I find it's funny because I'm that leader who is a very, so my leadership style is very collaborative. I have 3 in my team that are so quiet. And I thought I was quiet, But what I've done, and my principal has told me, you've done a good thing here, Kat. He told me, you've drawn things out of them. And I did tell him, well, another thing that's happened is because the 3rd grade teacher's no longer here. I said she was in the way. There was toxicity here, and now it's gone. And so they're now in a safe place. And I reminded my team about that. And I believe there's an INFP in there, and there's some I don't know what the other, I haven't figured that out yet, but they're speaking out now because I'm just like, I want to hear what you have to say. And so I tell these people, it's important. I value what your thought is, because when something comes out of their mouth, they've thought about it.
Yeah, totally. And I would assume, but let me just make sure, would you say that you are the type of person who you really have to think before you say something? Yeah. Do you ever feel like when you're speaking, then it's like you know what you want to say, but then it's like marbles?
Yeah, I need to coming here to this live event, everything I've learned has been up here and nothing's come out. And so when I started doing these practices with other classmates, I didn't know if they could even understand me. It was just coming out gibberish. Just because I haven't yet articulated it. Like I hadn't gotten to a point where I knew it so well that it can come out, and I understand. Like I need to understand it at such a high level in order for it to come out.
Yeah. Got it.
And I don't know why. And it's not something that's been a pain to me. But I'm learning now that I have to accept that about myself. Because that's just how it's just always been that way. I did this one highlight at the board meeting, and this board is a good sized board, 30 or so people there, different representatives from different places, and they asked me to do a highlight on a kid, and I did. And then some people, they're just, yeah, you're such a good speaker. And I'm just like, it's because I thought about it. Not just thought about it. Like, it has to be laid out. And I have to almost have this practice in my mind for it to come out as if it's something that's remotely inspiring.
But you don't practice it like out loud.
Generally, I don't. It's just running in my head a lot.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah. There's so many comments that I'm just like, let me just wait till the end.
Okay, yeah.
But you're saying a lot of stuff.
I hope I'm not keeping you from the mingle.
The good news is you're actually very fascinating.
Okay.
and I enjoy your
So
company.
good. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
it's like,
Okay.
you know, that's great.
Okay.
Good job on the report. Like, or else, sorry if I can get this over with. So, but no, yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
good. All right. I'm just going to look over this real quick to make sure that everything is consistent, connects. So just give me a moment.
I need the stillness every day.
I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
I promise you, I come in here this whole week that we've, you know, been like,
Yeah.
Tori, she's in the class. You know
Yeah,
Tori.
yeah.
And so whenever y'all are in class,
Yeah.
I just sit here. Trey, he's in that room.
Yeah.
And so, and whenever I come out, then I love talking to Trey. Like we have very, very, very deep conversations.
What's his type?
Isaac.
Okay.
But whenever like we're done or anything, I'll just come right back in and just
Yes.
and I just like stare out the window or just like laying it. Sometimes even just chilling on my phone and I love this stillness for sure.
When it's quiet for you, does your mind is your mind always engaged with something?
I would say so. Yeah. I would say that it's processing. It's like at all times. It doesn't really stop. If it's not processing a whole bunch of things I've either like read, consumed, talked about, something like that, then it's now running like simulations. Like, okay, this is gonna happen soon when I get home. What if I did this? So okay, like just all of this stuff to like make sure. And that's also a way that I manage my energy. So like every morning, and this is a practice I had to start. So it's not like, oh, but like every morning I wake up, and I've been doing this for like the past like 4 to 5 years now. I'll wake up before the time I'm supposed to be awake, and I'll just sit in silence, and I will play out my whole day the best I can in my head. So that way it's kind of like I'm already like marking the steps that I'm going to take so that I don't waste energy misstepping, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So then it's kind of like a lot of people that I've seen sometimes, it's like they get out of bed and then they're like brushing, like boom, boom. Oh, I forgot to do this. I can't stand that.
Right.
So it's like if I'm laying in bed and I'm just like sitting there and just listening to stillness and I'm imagining, okay, once I get in bed right now, then I should go straight to go brush my teeth. And, after I do that, then I should probably make this. Yeah, okay. So I make that, and while I'm doing that, then I can have this probably starting. Oh, I have to send this link over to this client, so I can probably do that. And then that'll be a good time to probably do this. All right, cool. And I'm just thinking through all of that. It's like, oh, this person might come talk to me. Like, okay, I have to have this call at this time, so I should probably rest a little bit before all of that gets like planned out in my head the best it can.
Yeah.
And of course, you don't know everything. Well, I just don't know everything that's going to actually happen in the day. But the more that I'm able to put that in my head, then the more I just kind of like I can flow rather than like feeling like I'm scrambling about stuff and making those pockets to be able to like relax and like just be to myself in a way. So yeah, that's how it is for me. How about you? And I'm listening, but I'm going to put charger on.
Yeah. I don't go through things that in-depthly.
Mm-hmm.
I do open up my calendar every morning to find out what I have to be responsible for the day.
Mm.
And just because every day is different, and I actually like it that um that things aren't the same every single day.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. I
Mhm.
actually enjoy. And one thing that I know is that I get restless
Mhm.
when things start to become boring. And when I say boring, it's almost like there's nothing to strive for. There's nothing to solve. There's nothing to figure out or help. There's like, because everything is just the same thing every day. I get tired of that.
Yeah.
It's like I need a challenge.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Do you face that like often or not really?
the challenge.
Or that kind of like there's not really anything going on type of feeling.
I think I'm always thinking about what. I don't think I do, because I think that's why I love the school setting, because there's always something that comes up.
Yeah.
There's always like at the start of the year, this is what we're planning for. Like the next week, this is what we're doing, and then next week, there's this tournament. There's always something that shifts the events of the day, and it's interesting because I remember thinking in depthly about my thoughts on that, because somebody had said, "This is driving me crazy. There's always something different every week."
Mm.
I'm like,
Mm.
is that a problem for me?
Yeah.
I just want to know
In
what's
advance.
happening.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But then after that,
Yeah.
that's what keeps it interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, this is so important to tell you. I'm so sorry. This
No,
is so
sure. Go
important
ahead.
because I think this is something that I really feel like it needs to be considered.
Mhm.
I lived overseas for 12 years. No, 12 years.
Mm-hmm.
I lived in Micronesia, and my role for 5 of those years was I was a vice principal, and I was mid 20s.
Mm.
It was kind of this default, oh, you're an educator and you have your degree and you must know what you're doing, so we need you to be a vice principal. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So I was put into a leadership role that I didn't ask for.
Mm.
And my role there was every single year there was a turnaround of 20 Americans that would come in. It was kind of like a mission, kind of like a Peace Corps, kind of similar to Peace Corps. And I was in charge of these teachers that would come in and make sure that they have their lesson plans. And so I had to adjust every single year with 20 to 25 new faces and kind of be the mother figure.
Mm.
And that was really pushing me out of my comfort zone.
Mm.
That's when I feel that I really worked on my FE because I had to.
Yeah.
And before that, I don't know how different I was. But because every single year, I was in charge, my husband and I were in charge of entertaining, planning weekend trips, and engaging, inviting them over to my house, having to host people.
Yeah.
And it was uncomfortable for me.
Mm-hmm.
But it happened all the time.
Mm.
That it really pushed me into an area that I really believe I was uncertain about for a while.
Mm.
But the part that I felt like I was certain of is being able, and no, not I wasn't certain of, but I just had a lot of practice
Mm-hmm.
with many different people.
Mm-hmm.
And every year it was different.
Mm.
And I really, really believe that that just changed me a lot.
I believe that. Like that sounds like a really big responsibility.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I was the one doing it.
Yeah. I was just thinking like, wow, like how did you, because you kind of just glossed over that part, but maybe that's what it just was too. It's like, oh yeah, since you're vice principal,
Yes.
that's that it was.
Yeah. No, we need you. No, we need you.
I'm like laughing, but like that's like wow.
Yeah. So again, it was that calling. It was like there's a need.
Mm-hmm.
This I'm calling you.
Yeah, you didn't choose it, but you're gonna pick it up, and you can do the best that you can.
Yeah.
I see. When you have a lot of stuff that you have to like handle, or like let's say like okay, you wake up during like in the day, and then there's like that like you have a lot of things that you have to get done by the end of the day. Does that give you anxiety more, or do you find like there's a little bit of like a challenge to it, like oh
no, it's anxiety is not, it's stressful to me. I have this ongoing list. It's like the tasks from Google. Like I have it on my phone. And if I'm on my computer, I just stick it in there. And like all these things, it's just an ongoing thing. And I triage and try to figure out what goes at the top, and just try to get something done.
Yeah.
And then check those off. And then I feel like I accomplished some things because every day there's something that comes up. And those are the things that are like, oh, okay, kind of shifts my day. And so I find that I don't get long periods of time to myself.
Yeah.
Because there's always a cat, we need you. Cat, we need you. But the list of things, the every day of what needs to happen for every single member of the family, it's just like my husband struggles, with just, he's more of a, you're asking me to do it, I need to do it right now. So like I'd be like, oh man, I forgot to get something for my daughter's class. They're having a party tomorrow and I forgot to get it. And so it's like 9:30 at night. And he's just like, well, if I don't do it now, it's not going to happen. So I'm going to go do it now. And so he goes off and like everybody's in bed. And usually he would just try to start getting ready for bed or whatever. And but he will go do it because he will forget. Whereas for me, it's just like he kind of does all my SEing for me. I feel like I really, and I feel like that's bad, but I do get overwhelmed really easily about the things that did you pay this? Did you pay that? And I'm the one who gets bills done because I understand finances and money.
Yeah.
And so I'm the one who does that. But then when too many things are piling up, things are falling off my plate. And it's things related to my children sometimes. And it's just like, Kat, don't be so hard on yourself as a mother.
Got it. Yeah. That all checks out. Okay. Well, I think, Kat, we are done. And I'm writing down what type that I believe that you are. But for my sessions, I always like to just kind of like give the person an opportunity to answer. Either tell me like, a little bit of their type journey and stuff like that, but then also like what they think that I might profile them as based off of the session.
Okay. Yeah. So I can tell you right now my type journey.
Yep.
This is my 6th year back from living overseas. I believe it's my 6th year. And when I was living the first home we were at, I was working at a place, and I became really good friends with the counselor at my school, and she's like, you should take this test. You know, 16 personalities, take the test. And she asked me, well, did you take it? And I'm like, yes, that's INFJ. She's just like, okay. Well, you know, our principal is also an INFJ. Okay. And she tells me this after I realized there's something about my principal and my counselor ended up being, she's an ENFJ. And she's just like, we were just kind of out of the same cloth. And this is all just her beginning to learn about more of this. And that was me wanting to understand what this is, right? So INFJ, I've tested other people's platforms. I've come up as ENFJ. And it's interesting because when I tested and I've shown up as ENFJ, it's when I've already started a job as an administrator at school. And I don't know why that is. But then this guy who was practicing profiling, and I don't know if you heard me talking about Harry, cognitive personality theory.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's what he was training under. He tells me ENFP, and I'm just like, what? And like he was saying, oh yeah, your FI is so strong, and other people have said that, and then other people have seen TE in me, and I'm just like, I'm so confused right now. I'm confused, and this is confused cat when I don't feel like I'm a professional with all of this.
Yeah.
And so it's an unsteadiness that I feel like, and mind you, this morning was the first person I've ever profiled officially.
Yeah, which, by the way, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Like, and it feels good, you know, like I was hard on myself afterwards because I'm thinking, what if I told her the wrong type and she's going to be thinking that this is what she needs to work on. Right. So like, I just need to give myself a little grace, you know.
Yeah, you definitely do.
But yeah, and Antonia talked to me about that. And so it was really good to get some encouragement from her.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it's been a little confusing. I really feel like my FE is really strong. And I really believe that if there's any NI in me, it's been downplayed because I didn't have very much of an outlet with any of it. It was just too, like, I'm thinking about the worries of the world. It's just, everybody else was just having a good time. And it was just weird.
Okay. That's wonderful. You turn the light.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you got it then. Beautiful.
Oh, I forgot about that. I went back to it too.
Yes. So I concluded INFJ for you.
Really?
Yeah. So for me, I was assessing like for all 16.
Yeah.
But it started getting to a point where I'm like, okay, is this an ENFJ? Is this an INFJ? And I relate to a lot of things that you were saying, for sure.
Yeah.
And I always am trying to be careful not to like, okay, oh man, I relate. But, you know, I gotta like, you know, say this. And then I saw the other places where I'm like, okay, I don't relate, but I'm also like, it's not just me. Like, I'm trying to like, you know, I was like, what does the paper say and everything? Pretty much what I was seeing was that, where do I even start? I guess what I'll say is the biggest thing that I was looking at toward the ending was, do you rely more on your TI? Like, are you more confident in your TI or in your SE? And it seems like SE really is an inferior function for you. Yeah. Like, usually with ENFJ types, they have like this almost like ability. So the SC, so the tertiary, like we tend to take on more than we can chew at times. And you definitely do take on a lot. And I think that was another thing I was really trying to like see, because I was like, okay, is this an INFJ who has really just been like forced to like use a lot of FP and like take on a lot and this, that? Or is this an ENFJ who is so burnt out, who has done so much that it's like, oh yeah, I'm an introvert. I'm
Right.
possibly an introvert
Right.
because I have so many people kind of thing. Because that definitely happens.
Really?
Yeah, oh yeah,
Okay.
that definitely happens. But even with those ENFJs, you like, you know, now you have to look at the backseat functions. Like, okay, like how are you like when you're like taking on a lot of people, like when it like comes to like sports, fashion, whatever, and then your own thoughts, you know, like with inferior TI, they tend to like ask around a lot to like pull all of the thoughts and everything to like form their own perspective. Whereas like, you know, tertiary TI, from what I've at least seen and like patterned, and then Joyce also pointed it out too. I was like, yeah, I noticed that as well. It's like, she's like, yeah, Denzel, you tend to like really like gather a lot of perspectives. A lot of people, oh, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And I realized that tertiary TI users, like, they don't really like do that much. Like they just kind of like hold on to that. And from what I was understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seemed like you were also saying that at one point.
I'll have my own thoughts. Thank you.
Yeah.
Is really
Yeah.
even against people who I respect.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a childlike logic,
Mm-hmm.
it's not tampered with. No one's tampered with it. It's
Mhm.
just pure logic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's how I've gotten in trouble.
Yeah, it seems like you have a little bit of the prick there, but then you also have the charm,
I do.
and it's like right there with each
But my
other.
parents never saw the charm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
keep going. This is
Mhm. Yeah,
great.
and so I was seeing that, and then I was like, you know, I kept on testing for, okay, like where's the SC, where's the SC, and all of the questions I was asking having to do with the SC and everything. It's like, yeah, you definitely have developed so much FE, but the SE seems to be like, okay, it's definitely in the back because you're overwhelmed by so many things. And it's not that ENFJs don't get overwhelmed or can't get overwhelmed; they certainly do. But the way that you seem to get overwhelmed, it's less of a challenge, and it's almost like more of like a like being assaulted, like a burden. Even like when I asked you, like, oh, you know, like when they're like when you have like a lot of things you might have to like tackle in the day and everything like that. Like, do you see it as like a challenge? Like I've noticed like with other ENFJs that like I've talked to and everything, and including myself as well, it's like, man, I'm tired, but like I have to get this done, I have to get that done, I have to get that done, I have to like maybe this person's like, do it, you know, like let's go. And you're gonna burn yourself out. You're gonna get tired, but at the end of the day, it's like, did it. And that's kind of like the SE tertiary that's like, let's go, let's get all this done. But it seems like for you, you're like, oh gosh, no, it's
Right.
piling up, it's piling up.
Yeah.
It's snowballing. SE inferior, huge on snowballing. SE tertiary, it's, oh, that fire, gotta put it out like right now type of thing. And that's why they can get into like the monkey mind type of thing too. It's like, because sometimes for ENFJs, their growth thing is like, okay, wait, what you really need to do is develop more NI so that now you can realize, okay, instead of like jumping over to every single fire and then like turning yourself like, and then like, you know, burning out, but then you're like, well, at least I got every single fire, you know? Now you get to a point where instead you pretty much are like, wait, what fires are actually important to like put out? Is there a way to be able to blow them off, to get rid of all of them? Is it even my job to do that? Like you're thinking through more of it. What is the meaning of all of this? And then it's a way to like better preserve your energy. But for the INFJs, they would be more likely, okay, I'm seeing all of the fires, but I don't even know if I can put them out. And okay. Maybe if I do this, and maybe if I do that, and okay, and then yeah, maybe no, also do this. And that. It's like, yeah, there's focus, do something.
Right. And then sometimes I snap because I'm just like, there's too much happening
Mhm.
all at once.
Yeah, and it seems like that's a constant thing for you. And again, that doesn't happen for ENFJ types as well, but there's a difference in how they take on that like assault, and it seems like that's been such a heavy, constant thing that you've just been bogged down with a lot. And then when you even added on, like I had already like concluded like INFJ for you after like looking through all the notes and everything. I'm like, yeah, this seems right. But then right when I already like concluded it too, and he said, wait, I have to tell you this, I have to tell you this. I'm okay, let me listen just in case if you're about to tell me some information that might be different. And then when you said you lived overseas for like 12 years and everything you just said, that I was like, oh, this makes sense. Girl, you had to stretch that FE.
Yes.
You had to. There's a
Yeah.
lot of INFJs
Yes.
who like hate FE.
Really?
Oh my gosh. They're like, oh man, FE, like I don't like like helping people, and that's why like they're just always so drained and everything. It's like that's your growth spot, you know what I'm saying? But then there's some people like you who it's like, no, like I've been doing this. It's just wow, this is so much. And you haven't had space for your dominant. That's super important because
And I don't know what to do with that.
Mhm. That's the issue. Because if you're constantly working on that auxiliary function, that's great, but it's supposed to be serving the dominant function.
Mhm.
And I've been seeing like throughout this whole session, even when we took that moment, like like let's pause and everything, wow, I need this stillness like more frequently. It's like interesting. And like as we're like talking and everything like that, even when you came up, it's like there's just so much. Even when you came up and you're like, oh my gosh, like what if I like got the person's type wrong and set their life away and all? It's like, wow.
Is that an NI thing?
Or the TI
Yeah.
tertiary.
Yeah.
But then the NI, yeah, like it's like it was almost like an ungroundedness kind of way. Yeah. And I was like, huh. And I felt like because I understood where you were coming from with that. But then that's why like I guess I brought in like a little bit of my SE perspective. It's like, hey, everything is still like moving, everything is still like it's a progression. You're only here for all we can know. I mean, even if I feel confident in my result right here, for all I know, like just like I was telling you earlier, you could try it on and then you might go and it's like, oh, actually maybe I gave him the wrong answer here, boom, 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 boom. Yeah, this doesn't really like resonate with me and all that. But at least now I was just another stepping block for you to better get to that spot if this is not right. You know what I'm saying? And so with you, just like when you were doing your session and everything, yeah, you did not steer that person off wrong. I don't think that I'm ruining your life.
No.
Yeah. But I feel like a really, really, really big thing for you right now, you really do seem to need, like, I don't know how your life is set up, like, completely right now, but this, I feel like you do need a lot more of that. And it makes sense to me more now to, like, be completely candid that, like, why you're always, like, running out. Like, I was like, okay, I didn't know that your hotel was, like, across the street like that.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, like, she doesn't really, like, seem like just chilling, like, hang, like, all of that. Like, people, like, I don't know, like, does she, like, hate people? Like, and, like, and, but then I'd see you, and then when I do interact, it's like, you're warm.
Yeah.
And you engage, and it's like, I was, like, watching, yes.
Exhaust.
Yeah, exactly. And so when I was like, even when you like in the earlier session, like the earlier half of the session, as we were like talking and everything, I felt your emotions like so heavily. And you know how you said earlier, like, oh, like when other people are crying and you start.
Yeah.
That's something that's very big for me. I've been crying all week. But yeah, but I was like, but this session I was like, no, I have to hold it together. I have to hold it together.
Yeah.
But you almost got me quite a few times. I like would feel it every single time. Like you would start speaking. I'm like, she feels so deeply, and I'm feeling this, and it's like, wow. And I'm seeing like you're, and like I mainly ask the intuitive questions and stuff, just so that you can have like your own evidence to look back on and look at. But like it was very evident to me that you're an intuitive type, and that you were using NI. Oh yeah, very evident to me. Like yeah, and like literally the biggest thing for me was just that. Oh, are you NI dom or NI auxiliary? People, this isn't like gossip or like bad way or anything.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
I understand.
People have been like, come in, so many people. I'm like, oh, okay. And they're giving me all their guesses on their type and everything. I'm like, yeah, I better like talk to her and everything. And even the day when you like, and you like sat down and everything, I was like, oh, because it was like well, if she feels like so strong about this type, then she might go like this, boom, boom, and like whatever. Not like, but then yeah. Like, so when you're coming, so like they were asking like, so when somebody's like that, like, what do you do? And I was like, you kind of just get them to forget that they're even in a profiling session. You just, for me at least, like you just talk to them. You just really hear them.
You did that. You did that, and it was really easy to be very real about everything that I had to share, and I didn't have to remind myself all the time, don't think of functions, don't because I don't think I do. Like if I just want to just open up to something, just tell you straight up what it is, what I think, what I believe.
Yeah, and I felt that from you. Like, and so it was funny because like for people like, oh yeah, I think that she's TE. It's like, oh, I think this. Yes. I'm like, oh, okay, and I'm like just holding it all like loosely. So I really came into this like just ready, and it was just funny because when you came that day, and then I was just thinking like, okay, like she already has been told by several people that she should approach me, so I'll just wait until she comes at her own time. And I'm like literally thinking to like wait, and then all of a sudden I was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, oh. Looking, and I'm like, I don't really know what to say. and then that's why I looked at you. I was like, you look kind of stressed or overwhelmed because
that morning somebody's telling me I'm an ENFP, and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with that. I just want, I want it to be right for me because this is what I know. Like Antonia reminded me that it's not your identity, but I'm like, but I want to know what I have the potential for and what, like.
Are you the swan of the eagle?
Yes.
Yeah.
I want to know which school I'm supposed to be at. Am I supposed to be a duck school? Am I going to be a swan school? Just tell me which school.
Yeah.
So I can thrive and I can be the best person that I can be.
Yeah, exactly. The FE is very evident. Okay. Very evident. When I asked you that question about would you rather be like the project manager and all of that, or would you rather be like the person who's like, hey, is everything okay? You probably already intuited, but yeah, that was like an FE versus TE question. TE users always, just give me the projects. No, and then they'll look at the FE users like, you want to handle the people, and the FE users like, oh, just let me handle like people, and then the TE users, you want it, and so that's like an interesting. And I've found like no matter how much even like the INFJs that hate FE. Like, people, too much people. If you're giving them TE stuff to do, they're like, give me the people. Yeah. And so it's like, okay. Because it's like, yeah, no, like, I'm good at that. And it's like, it's still giving you purpose in a way. And all of the things, like, when you said something that's very obvious to you, you said future events with interpersonal dynamics.
Yes.
NIFE. Like, this is what's going to happen with these dynamics. Oh, we have to keep the family together. Like, a quote, the specific quote that you said, you guys think on that, and I'll think on how to keep our families here. There was another quote that you had said.
So you see that as an I.
Oh yeah, NIFE, FE, NIFE. Both, like everything that you were talking about had to do with interpersonal dynamics. FE is like the way that I view it. FE has the monopoly on interpersonal dynamics and everything, like understanding them, like an interest in that. FI is the relationship with self.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like you are so intrigued with the energy and the connections between people, and it's so obvious to you, like how that should be handled, how that should be done, all of that, and you tackle it so well. You're constantly thinking about it. That's very NI. Like you are very aware, like, okay, like NI has all the dominoes. Like that's like it's seeing everything that's gonna like happen. So it's like, oh, if we don't, because your NI is focused on FE things. So it's like, if we don't help the people in this way, if we don't take care of the people in this way, if we don't, this is what's going to happen to them. They are going to leave. We have to do this to secure our future. And that's a lot of like what you pretty much like kept in mind. When you described yourself, you said that you were kind, you described yourself as too forgiving, and then you also pretty much described yourself as like the mediator in a way. You didn't use that word, but like perspectives, you can see both sides.
Yeah.
You're the one who's like, hey, look, I'm seeing it from the parent side, just someone else seeing, like, I'm not really choosing teams. It's like, this is for the kid.
But they think I'm choosing team.
Right.
And
And
I'm
of course,
holding both sides accountable
exactly.
and trying to ask them, let's meet together.
Mm-hmm. And then you're merging that with FE because it's an interpersonal dynamic kind of thing that you're pulling in. And then you're solving those problems with the TI. It's like, okay, like this, like every time you're just speaking your truth like that, this is the TI. Like this is what we have to do to fix this system. People are a system. So it's like, how can I better like continue to tinker and like tweak and all, like you're constantly just thinking, how can we better this system of people in this school? Like, how can we better this? How can we do that? And then another thing too is like when I asked you like, oh, are you more likely to act too soon or act too late? And you said act too late. It's like,
yeah.
Oh, or well, no, not even act too late. I said act at all. Yeah. Because that was another thing that I was, because sometimes I've noticed that NR auxiliaries might still say like, oh, act too late, because they don't want to seem like they don't think through things, because NR auxiliary still thinks through things a lot, but they will not act at all. SE inferior, I've seen them not act that because that, and it's like when you said that, I was like, okay, that was like the last staple. I was like, yeah, I think that this is SE inferior. On top of then afterward, you also talked about like the overwhelm. It's not fun for you to like try to tackle things like that and boom boom. You're getting bogged down by sensory things all day. As an ENFJ who also has like SI tricks and everything, I'm not really liking all that paperwork stuff and everything either. But it's way harder for like the INFJs to kind of like deal with all of that like sensory stuff. Yeah. And so when you said like, oh, I think I just throw all the SC stuff to my husband.
Yes. And I don't know if that's horrible, but like he almost enables me because I'm just, and he loves to do it because he's just go. I'm just gonna do it all. Yeah,
that's a lot of what I was seeing. I know a lot of INFJ couples that pretty much have the exact same thing. It's like, oh, ESTP husband, INFJ, and or like ESTP, and then they just, it's like, oh, just handle it. And it's like, hey, but for whatever reason, like not in a bad way, but it's like, oh, like they really are cool with like doing that. You also talked about how like you're in flow when you're having like real conversations, and with that you can like talk all day long. When you talked about like books, then you said that you're really into the kind of books that have to do with like pretty much whatever is like not like the present.
or like maybe not even real.
Not real. That's what I meant. Like not present, like not modern day. So it's just like fantasy or like future.
Yes.
Or even just something that's not right in front of you, pretty much. That's how I was seeing it.
Some people would be like, like, is this something you're interested in? Like, if it has magic. And I'm just like, well, magic like this? I'm like, it's just kind of a different idea. Like, it's just, so that's where my mind goes.
Yeah, that's really like it's world building in a way. It's like, and that's very much also NI.
Did you say world building?
Yeah, so it's like you're interested in like, let's say like we're thinking of like Harry Potter or something, for example. It's like the idea of like, oh, there could be wizards among us that we don't even know because they have this rule that they can't use magic around us, and all this stuff, and it somehow fits into, so it's going beyond what you can see right in front of you. Like the SC is, oh, there's no wizards, I don't see them. It's like, nice, like, but there could be, and it can't be verified, but it's like now you have all these like rules. It's like, well, we wouldn't be able to know because it's like this, that. So then it's like now you're looking like a conspiracy theorist, but it's like
like and even like growing up in the church, you know, and I think it's just like if I'm reading a book or trying to learn a little bit more about other religions, they think there's something's wrong with that. No, I just want to know. I just want to know.
Gathering perspectives. Yeah, that I relate to as well. Like, although with me, that took me down a different route as the past 2 years. It's like, man, and that was a lot of my TI too. But either way, though, it's like, and that's probably a whole different story that we'll talk about at some point. But trying to see, like, I have a lot of notes here, but seeing like what else.
So the way you wanted to figure out the E versus the I is looking down at my lower functions.
Yeah, because the top two, they can be really, really, really strong, like similar, like especially when developed. But the bottom two, that 3-year-old is always going to be, it's always going to be like pretty evident. Like I would like to think that I've integrated my TI pretty well, but when I look at my SE versus my TI, I know that my SE is the one that like TI is my favorite function out of all 8, but it's like my SE though is I have a lot more confidence there.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I can see that with you. I feel like every NFJ would have more confidence in their SE than their TI, and every INFJ would have more confidence in their TI than their SE. And the way that you seem to speak about your SE things is not like how a tertiary SE would speak about it.
Okay.
Yeah, but then with all of the ways that you articulated yourself and like the ways that you think in general and how strong you can feel about the opinions that you have and everything like that, and just like hold them in that way and just tinkering at like what can we do to like for society, like you're observing it and then you're like picking it apart and all of that. It's like, yeah, there's some TI not just some, there's a lot of TI tertiary there, but then it's like, oh, gotta make a move, the SC is lagging.
Yes, it's a challenge. If anything, I really want to accept that I need to be okay with my NI.
Yeah. I would find lots of ways to bask in it.
But no one's on board except one other person, which is fantastic because he's got my back and my boss tells me, go, run with it. This is great, fantastic. He's the one that supports it, but everyone, it's like pulling teeth, trying to get them to follow suit and to follow and understand and to buy into idealistic ideas.
Yeah.
You can't feel the whole world, Kat.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try. Here's one kid. Guess what? She's gonna pass her math class because I'm a math teacher. That's it. I get ownership of it.
And you know how earlier you said that thing about like we don't really think about the compliments that you'll give and all of that. It just comes. That I had so many that I just wanted to like shower you with as I was like listening to you. But I was like, I have to stay on task and
Thank
all that. But now that we have, landed on what I think is your best fit type, of course I'm about to ask your opinion. But I just really want to emphasize what I said earlier. When you watch this back, just listen to the woman that's talking to me. Like really listen to her. And if it helps, listen as if she's like someone else before you re-identify with her, because she is so strong. She thinks of so many things. She impacts the world on so many levels. And it's crazy that when you sat in front of me and you started sharing all of the experiences that you've had, all the things that you think, like, and this is only a fraction. That was blowing my mind. And I'm like, I swear, I'm so glad that you said it yourself, that you're not the type of person that's like, just throwing out fake compliments. I literally have a video on YouTube called Putting Death to Hollow Flattery. So I will literally never tell somebody a compliment that I do not mean. Your mind, your personality, not just personality type, because I know a lot of INFJs that honestly are like not really the best types of people. I know INFJs are great types of people. You are a great person in my opinion, from what I can see, and I am just so grateful that there's somebody like you in the world, because you're sending ripples. You just existing is everybody that you've spoken to, every child that you've impacted, no matter how big or small, they are going out into the world and they're causing their own ripples. And all of these ripples that you're causing is literally, it's bringing change to this world that you're trying to bring change to. And you might feel like it's on a small scale, but you're still making a difference. And that's the idealist in you. And I want you to continue to pursue that. And I really, really, really want you to continue to own your strength. I really want you to appreciate yourself and to love more on yourself, especially to give yourself room to empower yourself and to continue to surround yourself the best that you can with people that will empower you. And don't feel bad when you have to like get out and all of that too. I definitely, like I said, I was like curious because I didn't know you at the time. So I was like, man, like, yeah, I had noticed, like, yeah, you just like to escape and everything like that. It's like, But I was like, there's probably story behind that. And I'm so glad that now I can understand. I will never think, oh yeah, you just hate people or something like that. Just because you don't want to go to mingle or mix or whatever like that. That doesn't convince me that like after all the stuff that you shared today, after feeling the emotion from you, if you decide to leave somewhere early to go back to your room because you want to sit in stillness after being in class all day with a dominant ENFP man yelling and making you do all of these actions and stuff like that, being overloaded with SI information. That's what it was, by the way. SI information of where to go. Joyce experiences that all the time. Yeah. Lauren was just talking about that. Right. Like, dang, like she, like, oh, what are we supposed to be doing? Boom, boom. I just missed it. That's like, oh, that's like your eighth function. It's like, oh man, what's the directions here? It's like just being assaulted by sensing stuff all the time. So with that, you have every right to go to your hotel room and relax, wait until the next day and all of that. There will be people who might not understand at first, but that's okay, because when they do actually engage with you, when they actually get to know you, they will see you don't even have to act, you don't even have to pretend. Your heart really is like on your sleeve. It is. I see that. And they will know, like, okay, we cannot say that she actually does not care about people.
Oh, well, some people think it's fake.
Yeah. That won't
like
last.
It's a show. I'm like,
that won't last, because the truth actually spreads faster. It's more powerful, I would say. And I guess that's all I'll say on that. But
thank you so much.
yeah, you're welcome.
Your encouragement means a lot.
Yeah, you're absolutely welcome. And I really enjoyed myself. Like you are, like I said, you're just a very phenomenal person. And I'm glad that I found so much that I could like relate to with you as well. Like because yeah, it's just really cool to find people who actually think so similarly to how I do and seem to be like on the same path because then it helps me know like, oh, like I'm not like this assignment that I feel like I've been given to by God, like, bring love to the world and like spread and all of that. I'm not the only one who's doing it. Oh, Kat's out there. She's causing her own ripples wherever she might be, whether it's overseas or whatever. She is helping me to also bring more of these loving ripples into the world. And there have to be more Cats out there. Maybe there's only just the principal, like that one other person at your job and all that. But it's like, hey, he hopefully knows somebody else that's like that too. Like we come to places like this, get re-energized. We do the best that we can so that we can like be like, okay, I'm rejuvenated again to go back out into the real world and to cause the ripples that I can. And if you need anything, like if you ever need like encouragement again, or like if you have any questions, like I mean, you have my contact now.
Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Denzel.
seriously.
It is. I can imagine a world, Denzel, that's like where we can be as open and free to be ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know who it was. It might have been Personality Hacker when in the early years when I was listening to podcasts where maybe it was Intuitive Awakening,
Mm-hmm.
if we were just to be who we are, how we would find our tribe so much more easily.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people put up a front.
Yeah.
Or when I became an adult and I moved out of my parents' house, that I was just programmed to just not put out my NI
Mm-hmm.
and my thoughts that are or question things just because I question things, right?
Yeah.
Because it was weird.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you had your grandmother.
Yeah. She
I'm
was
really glad.
my favorite person.
I don't blame you. She would be mine too.
Yeah.
Like, I'm so glad because she really helped you to become the person that you are
Yes,
today.
I believe that.
Yeah. And I hope that you can continue to be a grandmother to other people too.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. Because.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. I really appreciate your time and your I know it matters to you that your accuracy, but you don't understand how much it matters to me because it's just been something I've been needing to sit. This is just what sits well with me.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know all of it very well.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And I've listened to you for a number of years now.
I did not know that.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I can recognize you from a mile away.
Oh, wow.
Listen to you.
I thought it was just like a recent thing. Like, oh, you saw like some videos, like maybe.
No.
Oh, wow.
No.
I'm very flattered.
It's and so Tori was actually the first one. And when I met Tori on Discord, and we had talked in a group, and she was part of the group, and I was just like, I don't know. I think I am an NFJ. I just don't know what. But somebody's told me I'm an NFP, and it's just like it was like crazy. She's just like, Dr. Denzel.
I love Tori.
Yeah, yeah. She was the one that told me, and it just never happened. I couldn't figure it out because my job is busy, and some people are just like, "We're so worried about you, Kat." I'm like, guess what? I'm so fulfilled in what I do because I am told to do what I need to do by my boss. because for some reason it's just like our thought process are in line, our mission for people, they're in line. And so when I run things by him, I do all the time, he says go, and I do it, and I'm thriving, and it's an arena that I'm actually put in a situation where I can be influential, and I don't know to what extent. It seems like it's difficult. People don't think the way I think.
Right. 100%. 100%.
So,
wow. Can I give you a hug?
Yes. Oh, thank you,
You're actually
friend.
welcome. Yes, yes, I claim you.
Denzel, you have a fantastic skill. And you know, I was talking to my husband, and I tell him, oh, I think like the number that I heard today was that there's 70 people that took pictures today, right? He's like, what? 70 people? I'm like, do you think it's funny that 70 people in one time actually are obsessed with type right now? I'm like, there are more than that, because they've been doing this for a while. And so, like, I said, do you even know that we have in my 101 class, there's one ESFP? I'm like, that's right. She's actually interested in it. Because he just thinks I'm crazy. He's just like, I don't know what you're all about, but
Yeah, it's so interesting. ESFPs, they're always like a little bit like a hit and miss with it. And like,
Oh,
it's like they have to,
really?
like, yeah.
So there are a hit sometimes. Okay. Well, obviously, because
Yeah,
you know,
like Ines, if you remember her.
oh, that's right.
Yeah, yeah, she's one. And I know a few ESFPs, even in my personal life, that I'm the one who infected them. But even though they're not gonna like listen to all of the podcasts and everything, they're at the very least always coming back like, oh, okay, so my NI showed up here. Like, Denzel, so where did my FI go with this? And boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Well, it's funny because
Thank you for taking the time to watch that video. And if you enjoyed that, please like and subscribe. It actually really helps out my channel a lot, so that more people who actually care about what I want to say can actually find me a lot more easier. Also, if you did enjoy it, then maybe you'll enjoy a lot of my other content as well. So be sure to check out some of my playlists where you'll be able to find a lot of my older videos and older content. And last but not least, if you would like any profiling sessions or coaching sessions, be sure to check out denzelmensah.com, where you'll be able to book me and you'll see the rest of my services. But thanks again, and have a great day.